Here come the hot stepper. I'm the lyrical gangster. Big up the crew in the area. Still heavy like that. No, we don't die. Yes, we multiply. Anyone press will hear the fat lady sing. Act like you know Rico. I know what Bo don't know. Touch them up and go. Oh, cha-cha-ching, ching. Here come the hot stepper. I'm the lyrical gangster. Excuse me, Mr. Officer. Still heavy like that.
Hey, no making fun of me. Besides, it looks like it didn't kill stream streaks. Because Sherlock Holmes is on a 10 streak. Canine Tooth is on an 80 streak. So it did not kill streaks. Thank goodness. I would have felt really, really bad. I would have felt bad. Oopsies. All right. We are in a break. There you go, Trash Keeper. Getting ready to start the show because we're at a break. I know the DJ stream needs dance emotes. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to work on it. Just one thing at a time, all right? Crazy says, I'm in a 1 streak. Oh, then you missed Saturday night. Because look, Ed Benadia is on an 80. What's up? Ed Benadia on the 80. Yeah. Scalyback says, how many podcasts have I missed? I mean, I don't know. How many have you missed? How many you missed, Scaly? Huh? Scaly? How many have you missed, Scaly?
Act like you know G-Go. I know what Bo don't know. Touch them up and go. Oh, cha-cha-ching-ching.
Crazy says, I watch all streams in rerun on YouTube.
I'm the lyrical gangster.
Oh, that's right. Saturday does not count. It's on a different channel. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. How did I mess up the stream? Apparently the mouse family was chewing on something. It's fine, though. Everything's fine. Oh, what the hell? Oh, that's a good song, though. Oh, that's a real good song. All right, we're going to save that for a little bit later. That's a damn good song. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Curse the commercials. You should be back from commercial, which means it is time to start the show. Welcome into the show. What is going on? Thank you guys all very much for being here. Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Talking Trek Live, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast. I am your host, Ultimate DJ, is asking you to sound off into chat at Talking Trek server sound off. You guys go ahead and hit it right now. Aquila Hawk going to kick us off from server 21. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Noon Whistle on server 29. I'm Beglin on 32. Jux on 187. Jason on server 13. B for the Gods on 17. Stradalorian on 9. Trash Keeper on 53. Scalyback from the Outback on 193. Vic on 40. What's going on? Captain Bob on server 14. And Dominus Prime on 53. Chaos on 26. Tarpy on 70. Sherlock Holmes on 27. Counselor half on server 20, Cruzito on 13, Papa Smurf on server 61, Mosher on 181, Fire Force on server 26. Dr. Iron Chef, aloha from server 14. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Captain Bob says, I'm ready to learn something. Good luck, though. I've been drinking. That's hilarious. All right, we're going to give it our best shot. Omicron on 8, Mid Strangler on 9. Dragon Keeper on 53. I think you already wrote yours. You messing me up, dude. Why are you messing me up? Rico on 55, Corellius on 13, Daverick on 21, Pallium on 188, Don Zeno on 136, Strider on 70. What's going on? Silver Tap. Shady Pines on 27, 29. Alpha Cypher on 21. Prime Rex on 26. Commander Taylor on 187, but only for 8 hours a day. Sixth Notion on 126. Broken Wolf on server 99. Resilient on server 16. Coldbane is lagging on European 164. Bearbutt on 24. Thank you, Duke of Marmalade on 187. Lieutenant Fox Fan. LMC Fox Fan. European 121 on the Talking Trek server sound off. Thank you. Dangerous on 32. Wilson on 36. Swinbot on 29. What's going on? Deathblade on server 27. Striker on 49. She is. What's going on? And Alicia on 701. Everywhere Matters on 57. Mechrack on 55. Kirok on 61. Gosh. I thought I was going to read most of those, but there's still 52 additional messages in the Talking Trek server sound off. And good evening, everybody. Welcome into the show. We have with us currently, do the math, 229 people in the live studio audience. Not bad. Bam, bam, bam. Not too bad. For late on a Sunday night. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate that. Good evening and welcome into the show. We've got our panelists with us. Everywhere It Matters is here. What's going on, my brother? How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am great. Sorry I almost broke everything. Actually, crazy enough, it was actually just a cord. One cord that had wiggled loose. So I had to fix it, and it took me a second to diagnose it. That being said, not too shabby, right? I was able to fix all that in like 6 minutes. I had to troubleshoot, diagnose, isolate the problem, repair said problem, and relaunch the stream, and I did it all within 6 minutes. I think I deserve a round of applause for that. Huh?
Did you catch the rat that pulled it out?
No. It's still around here somewhere, but I'll get it one of these days, all right? What is that red thing hanging from the shelf in the background? So this is, I don't know if I can get over there with my mic. Hang on. I can't. I'm not going to be able to reach it. Somebody had sent, I don't know how to explain it. It's beads with tribal, like, they sent me a care package. They actually sent it to Oliver, and it had a bunch of Native American stuff in it from a tribe, which was super, super cool. And I'm trying to remember. Oh, my gosh, this makes me feel terrible that I don't remember what tribe it came from. But it was a very, very cool gift. And I was very, very grateful for it. Oliver got the gift. It had some beads in it, and it had some drinking cups and a Frisbee, and it had some like jewelry in it from an Indian tribe, which I thought was like super cool. Gosh, I can't remember now. Man, that makes me feel terrible. It's probably over on Oliver's gaming station, the name of it. But anyway, a listener sent that in. So that's cool. That's what that is. That is a necklace with a Native American Indian cutout on it, which is actually super nice. I am a cat. Catching a mouse should be native, except I'm bad at what I do. Thanks for the hydrate. Stevens Aaron says, fix takes 6 minutes and charge for an hour. Good old American labor rates. Yes. That's how it works. A couple of thank yous very quickly. Don Zeno for the 23-month resub. Papa Smurf, 29 months. Wonder Yams on the 18 months. And Bearbutt on the 29-month resub. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys very much. A couple of reminders that we are currently Underway in our Christmas Angel Fund for the Jingle Toy Drive from Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital in Nashville, Vanderbilt Medical. Take a look over here on the right-hand side of your screen. You will see a QR code, which I will invite you guys to scan at least a couple of times throughout the night to do your part. I have kind of come out and prodded matters that if everybody who spends on this game, and I don't mean like, $20 lifetime spend. I'm talking about somebody who spends $100+ a month. If every one of those people gave $100, the equivalent of one pack, we would already be done. The goal is $60,000, and you realize that if only 600 people, that's all it takes, dude. If 600 people donated a singular pack, we're there. Is that not crazy to think about? I mean, honestly, you think about that matters. Only 600 people to donate the equivalent of one pack, and we're at goal. Wolfwood gave his pack. A lot of people have, and I'm very, very grateful. A lot of people really have. As a matter of fact, we have currently already raised $4,854 towards the Christmas Angel Fund here at Talking Trek, and that's incredible. That's 81% through the first floor out of 9 that we've got. 9 floors that we're responsible for this year. And you can donate in the graphics room over on the Discord. You'll find the direct link, also the QR code. It's on your screen. That's also in the graphics room. That QR code, by the way, also goes directly to the Children's Hospital. So you don't have to worry about it coming through my hands or anything. Not that anybody has worried about that in the past. Just saying this is a tax deduction thing. Like, you could give through us, and we'll send it on with ! Tip, ! Donate. But you can absolutely give straight to them and get a tax deduction receipt as well, and it still counts towards our whole big thing. If you scan that QR code, it's going to actually bring up the Talking Trek Jingle 24. Jingle Toy Drive 2024 page for Talking Trek, which is incredible. And you will notice that the dollar amount doesn't raise just yet. I haven't gotten to that this weekend, but I believe that all your guys' funds have cleared over in the PayPal, and so we've got now to relay that over to them. We have actually collected $4,854, of which $3,746 is already at the hospital. So that is absolutely incredible. So that means that I've got about $1,110 to forward over to them, and we will do that. Madam Stargazer, thank you for the 19-month resub. Thank you very much. Coldbane says 9 floors at 6,000 is 54, but your target is 60. So technically, we're splitting some funds on that last little bit. Here's how it works, Coldbane. We are responsible for 8 or 9 floors, but we're also giving $10,000 towards the hospital's new gaming and technology program. So honestly, really, the goal should probably be $64,000 because we're going for 9 floors, and then also going for $10,000 towards the gaming and technology program there, which is helping children rehabilitate, learn, and heal, not only physically but socially through the power of technology and gaming, which is very, very cool. I'm very excited about that. So we had the hospital administrator on last week for a show. You should go back and watch that. We also had a gaming and technology specialist from Vanderbilt Medical, from Monroe Carroll Jr.'s, on the show to talk a little bit about that role. So $10,000 is what we've kind of earmarked for them. So we've got some work to do. Engineer has dropped $100 in the tip jar. Thank you. That is $100 towards the Christmas Angel Fund. Thank you so very much. Pavik and Targ, thank you guys for your resubs on the channel. Appreciate that very much. Thank you guys so kindly. And Engineer doing his part. There you go. He just dropped a pack. So now we need you to do your part. $100. And listen, it doesn't have to be 100. I'm just saying that's a nice even round number, matters. Everybody who plays Star Trek Star Trek Fleet Command knows the power of $100, right? So yeah, I mean we know what $100 does, and wouldn't it be cool for one of your $100 to maybe make it go that extra mile? I mean, yeah, it could go and do something for you in your account, but imagine how great it's going to feel when you watch the content of the kids that we are going to get to visit and see some of the smiles that you're going to put on faces as a result of that. It's very, very exciting and heartwarming to feel that, and I encourage you guys all to do that. Dragon Keeper says, not to be a downer, but I don't like the high goal. Makes it look bad. I like how we did it last year. So, you know what? This is what we did last year, Dragon Keeper. So if you take a look, I still have the tip jar set up based on floors. But if you recall, we did have like a total amount that was set up over on the side. This is actually the same thing that we had last year. I just added the QR code to it. But you're right. The floor goal feels better. We just wanted to knock out more than one floor. So if you take a look up here, we're 83% towards knocking out the first floor. And gosh, really, we're only $1,046 away. $1,046 away from finishing the first floor. I would love to knock that out tonight, Matters. I mean, really, truthfully, I would love to knock out floor number 1 and just go ahead and start on floor number 2. And
we're close.
We are close. I mean, we're $1,000 away. 10 people listening right now could donate a pack, and we're there. I mean, just 10. There's currently 265 people in the live studio audience. All right, if only 10 of you do it, then we're right there. Putz also reminds us, and Putz, this is actually a really good point. I remember this from last year, that you should check with your employer as we head into the fourth quarter, because a lot of companies will do matching funds donations. All right, a lot of the big companies will do that. As a matter of fact, Putz, I think you and Mrs. Putz got a 100% match last year. So whatever you guys did, your company matched it, and it doubled up. All right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That was very, very cool. And there's also some companies that have like a special day of giving or like a special week where they'll increase their match. So you guys, listen, if you don't necessarily want to do it tonight, that's completely fine. We've got time. But ask your employer about that as well, because there could be cash matches. There could be donation matches. There could be a special week of giving. Do it early. Find out, get the information so that you can take advantage of their generosity as well. That's right. Charitable matching, says Shiz. It's absolutely an amazing thing. So I really, really appreciate it. And thank you guys. Trust me, I am merely but a communicator, a messenger, a liaison with this. But it is really, really cool that you guys have been so passionate about this again this year. And I'm just so happy and so excited to be helping with this project again this year at Monroe Carroll Jr.'s. Akila Hawk says, Vanderbilt Children's Hospital is absolutely amazing. My nephew was recently rushed there after a terrible accident, and they did a great job in helping him heal. First of all, Hawk, I'm so sorry to hear about that accident. I know, listen, it doesn't matter what story you have. When you talk about a loved one going into the hospital, especially for an accident like that, an emergency accident, there's nothing in the world that can make you feel better. And so I know the stress of that and the sickness in your stomach that comes along with that. So first of all, accept our condolences, and I hope that your nephew is recovering well. But I will tell you, when you've had a chance to sit back and calm down and kind of think about it, care means everything. And so the fact that you mentioned Vanderbilt Children's Hospital is taking care of your family is super awesome, because they do that. We had Lee Ellen on the show here not too long ago who was talking about the entire child, the whole human care, right? Matters. Like, it's not just the physical medicine, but we're talking children who are not only resilient, but at the same time fragile, and social and human support and nurturing support is so very, very important to the healing process at Monroe Carroll Jr. So I'm glad to hear that they served your family well, Akila Hawk, and we are doing our best to help them serve other families as well. Your contribution tonight allows us to support them and do that. Stryker, thank you for putting $50 into the Christmas Angel Fund. That puts us 83% through the first floor, and only $996 away, Matters, from finishing floor number 1 out of 9. There are 13 floors in the hospital. Now, let me just, before we move on into Trek, I want to give you the scope and magnitude of what you guys did last year. There are 13 floors in the hospital, and they're counting on us for 9 of them. I mean, last year, you guys did 9 floors out of a 13-floor hospital. Talking Trek and its community did 9. You guys did almost the daggone entire hospital. Not only that, there were other donors. There were other donors who came in and took care of the rest of the floors. As a matter of fact, if you wanted to play voodoo magic with the numbers, you could say we took care of the entire hospital. But that wouldn't be fair. There were other donors, okay? And there were other donors that contributed. So they took the funds that we would have used to finish out the entire hospital, Matters, and they used it to provide Christmas for their patients all throughout the year. Like, they put it into a storeroom so that when they needed toys, when they needed games, when they needed things for children to play with for their rehabilitation, they had it all throughout the year, not just at Christmas, which, by the way, is incredible. The fact that we can give those children that kind of attitude or that kind of caring, and it not be just because it's the holiday season, right? But they were able to do it all year long. That is so incredible, and that makes me feel just absolutely blessed to be a part of it. So thank you guys so very much. Bombasticulous, drop it in and doing their share, putting in $100. Thank you so much. Retrieving says, like birthdays, they did birthdays. They just, I mean, listen, it didn't matter if you were a child there and you were struggling, you were in need, and you needed, a coloring book. You needed a Lego set. You wanted a video game just so you could be able to cope with the fact that you're in a hospital with a potentially life-altering situation going on. They were able to do that. And I think that's absolutely incredible. Mrs. Putz reminds us in the chat that for her company, that is, December 3rd. And she says a lot of companies will share that because December 3rd is apparently the National Day of Giving in the United States. Most companies that do gift matching will center it around that day or that week, especially if they do some type of increase for matching gifts. For her company, for example, they increased the match limit from $500 to $1,000 for that week. So any other time that you would donate through the company, if you gave $500, they would give $500, making it $1,000. But December 3rd, or that week for her company, is the National Day of Giving. So if you gave $1,000, then they would give $1,000, making it $2,000. And that would be absolutely incredible for you guys to take advantage of something like that. Madam Stargazer says, I love Vanderbilt. My own heart doctor is there. Yeah, I mean, and that's it. Vanderbilt Medical's right across the street. Monroe Carroll Jr.'s is a Children's Miracle Network hospital right across the street. And they just do an incredible, amazing medicine there. So Combat says, love the hat. Thank you. I like the hat as well. Howdy, neighbor. Appreciate that. And hi, Mrs. Putz in the chat. Appreciate that. Matters, we do have stuff to get to. Thank you guys so very, very much. Will point out $896 away from finishing the first floor tonight. You guys have already done $250 tonight. We are $896 away from finishing the first floor, and that would mean a lot if we could get that one knocked out. After the first one falls, man, they come a lot easier after that, Matters. It feels like they just, it starts rolling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it rolls through.
Yep, absolutely. Speaking of things that start rolling and moving in as far as Star Trek Fleet Command goes, we're going to talk a little bit about officers tonight, specifically the new Symbiosis officers and how they're performing inside armadas. It's kind of incredible, and again, kind of an interesting or a unique description of those matters, because once they start procking, once they start giving you the effects, it seems like they do in fact snowball from there on out, and it's kind of interesting to observe their abilities. We're going to be talking about the Symbiosis officers as well as Vial, Myriad Vial. That will be coming up very, very soon. And Crazy says, will that be soon? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I want to start on it here in just a second, because the auction and Heroic Stolen Milestone are currently ongoing. So I'd like for the live studio audience to know if they were on the fence matters, if they were thinking about whether or not that's something that they should chase. We're going to answer that question for them tonight. As a matter of fact, we're going to do it right here on the other side of tonight's edition. Where's Karkin? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have stupid news for you.
Stupid.
Yeah.
News.
Crazy is like, oh, sweet Jesus. Listen, I didn't do it for months, and people complained and complained, so I've started taking time out to actually write news. All right, I mean, I've tried to bring it back. Like this one matters. 3 thieves in Ohio. Yo, what's up? Shout out, Putz. What's going on, Putz?
What did me and my buddies do?
All right. Apparently, this past week, Putz and a couple of his buddies stole 100 right-footed shoes. Yeah, just the right foot. They stole over 100 right-footed shoes during a booze-fueled robbery. These guys sound like drunken, low-life, degenerate creeps, but we really shouldn't judge, obviously, Putz. We should not judge until we've walked a while in their stolen right-footed shoes. They just stole the right ones, not the left ones. That's right. An Argentinian woman filed a case in family court to be allowed to kick out her 22-year-old daughter and stop supporting her financially because she flunked out of university studies, didn't have a job, and was pretty much just living at home and consuming all the resources of the family. So the woman had to go to court to evict the daughter from her own house. This young lady is a deadbeat failure, according to her parents, leeching off of their money, which kind of actually explains why her friends have nicknamed her Hunter. Well, I get it. I'm not entirely sure. The new psychological... Thanks.
Take a breath.
I had to get one little jab in there, all right? Doesn't matter. He's not a candidate anymore. It's fine now. It's fair. A new psychological horror movie, Smile 2, has just hit theaters this weekend. Oh, God, the first one was so creepy. Has anybody watched the second one yet? It just launched this past weekend, but if you do want psychological horror for free, you could just watch election coverage on television. That's true, too. See, that one got them both right there. That's a 1-2 punch, all right? A Family Insider says that Jessica Biel is not happy that her husband, Justin Timberlake, got arrested for driving while under the influence back in June. Obviously, who would be happy about that? She is quoted as saying that she was shocked because she never actually thought Justin would NSYNC that low.
Good pun.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Oh, this is a good one. A judge sentenced a former Chick-fil-A manager at the Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport to 1 year in prison for embezzling nearly $150,000 from his restaurant. Apparently, the manager from that Chick-fil-A spent the money on jewelry, online sports books, and OnlyFans, according to court documents. The guy from, $150,000 he got out with. The guy stole from Chick-fil-A and spent it on OnlyFans. So clearly, he's a big fan of breasts. I'm sorry. Hey. Okay. It's bad tonight, isn't it? Kansas City Chiefs quarterback.
Been better.
Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes says that Taylor Swift has actually been to his home and bakes with his 3-year-old daughter. And now the NFL is requesting footage of this so they could show it on television instead of actually watching football. Yeah. And that's what they're doing. I should have hit the button. It's time for sports news, everybody. Sports! I already read the sports joke. All right, I'm kidding. I do have another one, though. Chicago White Sox owner Jerry Reinsdorf says that after suffering from one of the absolute worst seasons in the history of North American sports, that he's open to selling the team off. Yeah, he's open to selling the Chicago White Sox. He was expected to receive a pretty decent offer, actually. As a matter of fact, one came in for about $30.50. And now for the best punchline. This franchise is an absolute dumpster fire. At this point, even Chicago residents wouldn't steal the rights to that team. Oh! There you go, everybody.
Any Chicago natives in the house?
Yeah, sorry. If you're from Chicago, I apologize for the insinuation that you're all burglars. But
it's fair.
I mean, if you shoot it.
Hey, Jules. Good evening, everybody. That's right.
As your local Chicagoan, it's fair.
Nobody crimes like Chicago. All right. Good evening, everybody. Appreciate it. Jules, so good to hear from you, buddy. How are you? Welcome into the stage.
I'm doing well. I'm in my house now, which is exciting.
Oh, good.
And,
you finally got into the house.
Yeah, I'm into the house finally, and I'm feeling a little bit settled, and I'm feeling ready to jump back into podcasting with you and all my friends. So I'm happy to be here.
I'm going to guess that you are currently in a room with fresh drywall, with nothing hung on the walls, and probably hardwood floors. Nothing, no like rug or anything laid out yet. As a matter of fact, lots of hard surfaces. Either that or you're taking a dump, one or the other.
No, I mean, there was stuff here, but it was all stolen. So, you know,
yeah! Oh!
Welcome to Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Oh, that was good. Fantastic. Well, appreciate you being here. Thank you very much for stopping by. As a matter of fact, look, it is right on time. I told you that if I wanted to get you on the stage at 9:30, then I needed to start the show at 8:30 just so we could get through all the stuff. And I said, Matters, we'll do officers first because Jules only has an hour. And I said, we should be able to knock out officers before Jules comes on at 9:30. It's 9:31. Oh boy! So, Matters, what we're going to do? We've got a little bit of extra time, so we'll sit back here and table officers for just a moment. Crazy says, "Listen, just answer the question. It's late. I got to go to bed. Should I finish this SMS?" Let's go around the horn before we talk about what Vielle does specifically. All right. Crazy just wants to know the short answer. Yes. No. Is she worth having? Matters, you go first.
Yes.
Okay. Jules Verne, you go next.
Yes.
Putz, you go next.
Yes, I'm actually going to try to unlock her.
There you go. Odysseus says, do it. Voltron says, do it. Nekar says, is she worth tearing? Good question. We'll go around the panel. Is she worth tearing? Everywhere it matters. Is she worth tearing up?
Yes.
Jules Verne.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eh,
Yeah. Okay. And Putz, is she worth tearing?
No, I would slow roll it.
Okay. Not worth tearing, or at least not worth spending on tearing. All right. Shorts talks about the ability to have her in armadas below deck, and that is certainly what I think most people are going to use her for. Wham comes out and says the unlock is fine, but after that, she's pretty much trash. Dragon Keeper saying kind of the same thing. She's trash. Well, here's the thing. Dragon Keeper, you're a G6 player. So is Wham. By the way, so am I. I actually asked that question earlier today when we were prepping for today's show. I said, Matters, I don't really get it. Like, I don't feel like this is what I said. I feel like anybody who's needing, first of all, I don't think anybody struggles against armadas. I know that is probably whale talk. People probably do struggle against armadas, and that's fine. But me personally, I did not feel like people struggled against armadas. As a matter of fact, the toughest armadas in the game are the new G6 ones. And if you're G6, you really don't struggle against armadas because warp range seems to be the limiting factor. So whatever you can get to, you'll actually be able to kill. Well, Matters says, I don't know that that's absolutely necessarily accurate. However, for G4 and G5, Matters, you kind of agreed, right? Cruzito asked the question, is this general advice for all tiers? Should a G6 be concerned with getting her? And why or why not?
We want to get into it right now?
Well,
Or
why don't
let
you?
Jules go first?
Let's do the
No,
clip.
let's do it. Let's get into it.
Okay.
You got time, Jules? Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, let's
My wife's
get
asleep.
into
I'm
it.
putting the kids to bed, so you got me all night.
Okay.
Oh,
good.
we have him all night. We got to do it all night long. I'm sorry. My mind went there. Okay. Anyway.
You just went a little too far there. A little too far, buddy.
I was very excited, Jules. We haven't had you all night for a very long time. All right. All right. So, Vielle, is she actually worth having? Let's talk about the breakdown in ops. Okay. G4, G5. As a matter of fact, first, let's just talk about what she does. Okay. She has no captain's maneuver. All right. So no bueno there. Her officer ability is an increase in a moderate amount of apex barrier against chimeras. Like it's
not that moderate for PvE.
Okay.
Remember, PvE has always had very small apex barrier increases. PvP officers have very large ones.
Okay.
But PvE, it's not a bad apex barrier increase, but it is still.
I mean, at tier 1, what is it? Only 500. Tier 1.
Tier 1's only 500, but it does get up to 5,000.
It gets up to 5,000. That's right. If we're taking a look at your screen, or if you take a look inside your game, obviously you can take a look at Mazriad Vielle. And here at tier 1, then she is going to provide 500 apex barrier against Chimera hostiles only, as in just the invading entity armadas. That's it. So I find her very niche. Sorry, my hat's messing up. I find her very niche as far as her use on the bridge matters because, I mean, that event shows up once or twice a month, hasn't shown up yet this month at all, and I'm not aware that a lot of people are struggling against those. This would obviously probably allow you to punch up a little bit, and that's great, but is there value in her officer ability?
For certain people, yes. If you're the kind of player who can't kill the thing that you can, the highest level chimera that you can reach, and you can't survive the 10 rounds, then she could be helpful. Like because she gives synergy to a loot officer, you could run a loot crew, and at least you can survive and you can kill it when otherwise you might not have been able to.
Wham says, like
Well,
G6 Armadas, we're
for
getting
some
into
people.
the situation of Warp Lock where there's nothing that I can punch up to. And that's one thing that you and I talked about that earlier today. I am natively locked by warp range in a lot of cases to the point where there is no punch up mechanic for me, and I'm doing okay. That being said, there could be scenarios that younger ops levels players may take advantage of, but we will fast forward, Jules, because the chat is just going crazy. DJs, it's not about the officer ability. Her value lies below deck. Jules, let's talk about Mazriad Viel. Why do players think that she's worth anything below deck?
Well, she increases crit chance every time your ship takes damage. I think this is something that we need to be specific about. If you're using a Janeway crew and you are full synergy, not taking any hull damage, then you technically aren't going to trigger either Vael or Hugh. Borg Hugh. This is something we've just determined. So a little bit careful. When you take hull damage from a target, Armada or hostile, she will increase your crit chance, and that will be cumulative and build for 4 rounds.
Now, that is something that we had to be very careful about distinguishing when Hugh first came out, because Hugh came out shortly after the Janeway crew came out, and people were using the Janeway crew for hostile grinding. And what had happened was Janeway, with a full synergy option, only had an opportunity to proc Hugh on 1 weapon shot per round. In other words, Hugh did not get his full effect if you used the Janeway crew, because Janeway would end up running a full shield mitigation, and Hugh required you to land a shot on the hull. All right. So we're seeing that Viel is going to do something very, very similar, in which she will only proc if indeed you land a shot on the hull. Except the difference between her and Hugh is that Hugh is hostile only. All right. This is actually going to open up your crit build or your crit chance build to Armadas now instead of just hostiles like Hugh would. Are you saying that this is essentially like a con below deck? And if you were ranking Hugh versus Viel, how would you determine their worth? Is she better than Hugh?
No, because she's not going to be as potent, even though she'll proc every time. Whereas Hugh, it's his proc rate that changes, but he goes up to 25% per weapon that you take damage on, whereas Vael is only up to 12% when maxed. So, no, I don't think she's as valuable with hostiles, but I definitely think that for persons who are trying to find ways of building their crit chance without using boosts, she could be very useful. So your run-of-the-mill day-to-day Armada crewing, you definitely want to put Vael in below decks.
Taking a look at Viel, and actually, I wanted to show this. Jules, do you have handy the chart where we had that we had from Hugh, which showed the benefit of him at tier 1 with all the weapon shots? I should have pulled this up earlier. Let's see.
We had a PowerPoint presentation.
Well,
remember that?
Yeah. But specifically,
okay.
just that one. That
that one chart. Okay, hold on. I'll find it.
Let's see. Goodness gracious, I should have been a little bit more prepared for this. But there was.
I got you.
You have it? Oh my gosh! I actually just found the PowerPoint. Oh my God! I just. Oh, this is great. Okay, so what I was looking for is this chart right here. That's incredible. I'm actually just going to load the entire PowerPoint into the graphics room for you guys. All right, boom, there you go. You have the entire PowerPoint now But specifically, what we're looking at is this particular chart that I like right here. Okay, the amount of proc percentage based on the number of shots. If you're taking a look at your screen, this is based on Hugh. We're going to compare to Vial in a moment. But first, Jules, if you would remind everybody about Hugh. What does this chart mean? What does he do?
So he has a chance to proc, and that chance to proc changes by tier. The amount of shots in a weapon will actually, every single time, it's like you're rolling the die. So the actual amount of shots per weapon, it can actually change what that true proc rate is. So if you have one shot and you're at tier 1, you have a 45% chance of him procking. However, if the target is shooting you has 9 shots in a weapon, then you actually have an effectively larger proc chance. Now, if he procs, he's going to give you a 25% boost to your crit chance. That's pretty effective, and that can happen for each weapon. So in theory, if you have 4 weapons that hit you and you proc all 4 times, in start of round 2, you will have 100% crit chance. And that will continue to build. It's cumulative over, I think it's, 2 rounds? I can't remember actually off the top of my head.
I think it's 2.
Two rounds,
yeah, 2 rounds.
Right?
Yeah. So that's cumulative over 2 rounds, which means the previous rounds of shots against you will still count. So that can be helpful if you're fighting a target that has an off-center weapon shot. And then as you tier him up, all basically he does is he changes his proc chance. So it reduces how much you care about the number of shots per weapon that are hitting you.
As a matter of fact, the higher tier that he goes, the fewer weapon shots that your enemy has to fire at you for him to become viable. In other words, the more you tier him, the faster he becomes very, very effective. Kind of like we used to talk about Khan needing time to build. We talked about Decius way back in the day, needing time to build. So Hugh would build faster if the target was shooting you with multiple weapons. But as you tier him up, the number of weapons become less relevant because his proc chance was higher. Now,
let's just go back, and we think when Hugh was released over a year and a half ago, more than that, we didn't have as much crit damage research in this game. We are constantly adding crit damage, and yes, we're adding crit reduction, but that's basically only in PvP. So the amount of crit damage that we are shooting against hostiles and armadas is massive, making getting crits and a very important part of punching up.
Huge.
Now, I do want to clarify in the chat. Hypodermic says, you guys keep saying per shot. Is this per shot or per weapon? It is weapon. Okay.
Weapon.
Yeah, it is weapon. I do apologize. But it is you increase your odds, all right, because based on the number of weapons, okay? He is based on weapons, the number of shots that fire. So for example, if you take a look in the bottom right-hand portion of this image where you see the firing pattern, if you've got 4 weapons there, and he's tier 1, then you'll see here 4 weapons, tier 1 proc chance 91%. That's going to happen. You've got a 91% chance to proc on any one of these given weapons. All right. It is kind of moot because the more you go along, then the better he becomes. And eventually he's just going to get to 100%. All right. Now, this is interesting when we take a look at this example of Hugh, who was, as Kaviji points out, S tier, right? Hugh was a must-have officer. Why is Vial the same or not the same? Let's come back in and take a look at Vial now, because we do actually have some screenshots on Vial. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at this one, Jules. All right? Take a look at this and tell people what is it that we are actually looking at in this particular chart.
Well, what we're looking at here is a tier 1 Vial, and basically we're taking 22% base. You're not having any other additional crit chance base modifiers. You don't have any other boosts, which means that Vial is going to start building the minute you start taking weapons. Now, I evaluated an armada that has 6 weapons that's going to fire against you. I also envisioned that the one ship that this is on is taking on that armada by itself. The complicated part about Vielle is if you have multiple people, we don't know exactly where the armada is going to target. It's a bit of RNG. Is he going to target me half the time if there's 2 ships? Is he going to target me, a little bit more, a little bit less? That's going to change. Now, the one thing that is different, the one ship that is different, is the new one, the Vindicator.
That's right. Because the
Vindicator's
Vindicator's taunt ability will actually force the armada to only target that ship for up to 20 rounds. Meaning that if you want to get the maximum return out of Vielle in a group armada, then the Vindicator is where she actually belongs. And why is that? Because then she procs on multiple weapons, just like Hugh would have against the hostile, which is natively always one-on-one combat. So if you take a look at Tier 1 on Vielle, then after the Armada fires its first weapon, you're now at a 26% crit chance. Then 30 after weapon number 2, 34 after weapon number 3, and all of this goes up. All right. Then we take a look at round 2, because, by the way, she works for 4 rounds cumulatively compared to Hugh's 2 rounds. So, Jules, the effect does not start to fall off in round 3 like we have seen with Hugh. This will actually continue on through 4 entire rounds. And even at Tier 1, if your Vindicator, or if your ship, or even if you're doing this as a solo armada, if your ship takes all 6 weapons, then by round 4, she has ramped up to 100% crit chance.
Yes. And the great thing about...
Thanks, Art.
And we were talking, like Crisito actually mentioned this earlier, that the strategy for this is to basically reduce the number of rounds you're going against your target. Many times in hostiles, you're not going to get to round 4 plus with your hostile crew. But armadas, if you're punching up in armadas, you're still multiple rounds deep. So you will probably hit this cumulative build to the point where you are getting 100% crit chance.
Well, absolutely. Most of the time, armadas are going to... I thought I'd turn these things off. You guys... They're going with the attack things. I honest to God, I thought I turned them off. All right. I always turn them off for a podcast. You guys are killing me right now. Thanks a lot, though. I do appreciate you throwing eggs and peeing on my shirt. It does appreciate it very much. Thank you. All right. So I lost my train of thought there just for a second, Jules, because I was getting peed on by a dog. I can't imagine why anybody would have gotten frustrated by that or befuddled. So as you take this thing on, armadas obviously going longer rounds, especially if you're punching up, and really you should be. We've had this talk before. I think the game has lost a part of this, Jules, but we've talked in the past about if you survive an armada with full hull, then you're doing it wrong, right? Like, I mean, in all fairness, if you go into an armada and you guys walk away with full hull, then you're doing it wrong. Punch up if you can, all right? Because that means you're leaving loot on the table, all right? Now, that formula has deviated, especially with Xindi armadas, and now again with G6 armadas, because warp range becomes a limiting factor. All right. But if you have the capability of punching, I get it, Cruzito. I literally just said that. How is G6 supposed to punch up? They can't, because warp range locks you out. All right. So there are exceptions to the rule. But generally speaking, if you have the capability of punching up, then you should, if you are handily defeating the lower ones. I mean, you're leaving loot on the table. The amount of loot that you're getting per directive is less if you're not near death, which sounds crazy, but it's the truth. All right. So you've got to punch up if you have that capability, and the punching up is where Vielle shines, because those armadas are going to take more time, and basically after round 4, and statistically speaking, pretty much by round 3, you're going to have a very solid run of crits. All right. But by round 4, you're going to be 100% crits. And then guess what? In round 5, round 6, round 7, round 8. I mean, for round 4 plus, this graphic is correct. For round 4 plus, you're at 100% crit chance. So if you're 100% crit chance, what are we stacking up with Vial? All right. There's a couple of easy answers here. Hull breach, right? Isolytic. Absolutely. All right. Massive amounts of damage output, combined with some defensive maneuvers, of course. Vool says, in other words, shocking, she was kind of made for the Vindicator and its taunt ability.
Well, there's a caveat there.
There is a caveat.
There's one research note that you may want to avoid if you're going to employ Vial on your Vindicator using taunt.
Interesting. Let's talk about the research that you need to be aware of if you're going to use Vial on the Vindicator and use the taunt ability. And hopefully it's not too late for some people. Let's take a look at this research.
You're probably fine. It's the Vindicator taunt shield mitigation. With that, there is a G5 research that also adds 2.5%. You also got Janeway that can change that as well when she's in the captain's chair. You could logically reach 100% shield mitigation with this, which means you are not taking hull damage and she's not proccing.
Because you have to take hull damage.
Janeway.
Well,
if you just don't use Janeway.
Don't use
Janeway. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I think that this is like, you cannot use Janeway. They may have to double check. I have not scanned all of the other research notes to see if there's any other shield mitigations that would proc during an Armada that are outside.
Only if you Cerritos boost.
That's it. Exactly.
Yep.
A Cerritos boost combined with the faction research from the very beginning of the game, like back in, what was that, G4?
No, that's actually, it's the G5
G5
intelligence research. So it's actually for G5 players.
Okay, so G5 combined with this research, combined with a Cerritos boost, could get you to 100%. Can you get to 100%?
No, that's just for 2 rounds, though. The G5 research only lasts for the first 2 rounds.
But then that makes Vial not worth it until round 6 now.
Well, yeah, she doesn't start working until round 3. That's true.
Okay. So you got to be aware of that. Personally, this particular research, sure, it's going to be good, but I find it to be a little bit of a trap. As in, I'm probably not going to max it. All right, I know that sounds crazy.
Well, you got to be really high ops to max it, so you don't have to worry about that yet.
But I'm just saying that, like, you know, when we put Hugh out there, everyone's like, oh, Hugh's great. And then a few people were saying, my Hugh's not working. And we were like, well, do you have Janeway on the bridge? And then, oh, yeah, there is Janeway. So it's just one of those things that I wanted to, like, make sure people knew about, that there is a way where Vial will be useless on the Vindicator.
So
and any other ship.
Cerritos is 2%. The superhighway research is 2.5. So that gets you 4.5. With this research, we get you 19.5 out of the 20 that you need. All right? So just Janeway then becomes the limiting factor. Even if you had Cerritos and the superhighway research and this research max, that only gets you to 19.5%, which actually is a good spot to be in. So, in other words, Janeway can never go on the Vindicator. Ever. Under any circumstance.
With Vial.
With Vial.
Yes, captain.
Or con, or she can't be a captain if you've got someone that's ramping up with all the damage you take. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, can't be captain. That's right. Because, yeah, you would want to use her on the side for isolytic, potentially. All right.
So I don't know if we want to talk about, I think the reason why a lot of people don't see value in her, and I'm specifically thinking about G4 players right now who do not have 22% base, who typically will have around 12% base, who also likely need to be part of a team in order to punch up. So they're not going to be targeted as much, which means she's not going to ramp up for them. So for a G4 player, do we still see value in Vial if they don't feel like they're going to be ramping up that ability and getting the actual increase in crit chance?
Well, I think at that point, it only becomes worth it on the Vindicator. I think Kavici kind of points that out in the beginning, is that this is an officer who was made for the Vindicator, and it's not as though Scopely hasn't done that in the past. This is an officer that is going to have a significant advantage on the Vindicator if you are going to be the younger player, which, by the way, is the whole reason, albeit not a good enough reason in my book, but the whole reason that the Vindicator was launched was to give younger players a chance, or give younger players a spot in a larger armada. I probably shouldn't talk all about this, but I'm going to. The Vindicator, the tank ship idea, was born from wave defense. All right. I'm going to talk to you about how this came up. You know how we joked, or not joked, but we were talking here not long ago that younger ops level players had a role inside wave defense, right? What's that role?
Surveys.
Hunter. They're the survey hunter. All right. If you've got a younger player in, they're going for surveys. That was their role. You didn't want to take the biggest, fastest ship and make them have to take time to kill the surveys. All right? You didn't want to use the Borg cube cutting beam against the surveys. You wanted to focus on the bigger things to allow the smaller players longer survivability, because against some of the larger hostiles, those players were going to die and tap out. All right? So it became a strategy very early that younger ops level players had a role specifically to support their higher ops level players by saving them time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if lower ops players can have a specific role inside wave defense, maybe, thought Scopely, they could have a specific role in armadas as well. Hence, the tank was born. All right? The tank was born at that point, Jules, because they wanted younger ops level. Because, by the way, this was my feedback from the very beginning. Nobody needs a tank ship to survive an armada. Now, this was before the time of G6 solos. But at the time where everything was level 60 and down, if you could get there with an NX-01 or a Voyager, well, that just meant you were the starter going for the chest, and other players were coming in to be your anchor. Right? Like, if you were going to go start an armada with a Voyager, you had to have a big player as an anchor to guarantee the win. So they thought that the tank would be the younger player's support role for the larger player, a.k.a. they would bring the tank and it would alleviate the larger player's repair obligations to allow them to come in and do the armada. Now, I think this logic fails.
Yeah,
I think this logic.
I agree.
This logic fails because the Vindicator can't get to where the Voyager can, and therefore your starter chest is going to be smaller. So fundamentally, busted there. Okay. But
did you notice that they fixed the Eviscerator warp locks at the same time the Vindicator came out?
Yeah.
Do you believe that those were related?
Oh, 100%. 100%, because now they're wanting the Eviscerator to allow players to be ripped up to run larger armadas. As a matter of fact, now, you guys will know that the Eviscerator can effectively rip any player in the game to any grade of group armada. Based on the level of Eviscerator, that is. All right? Again, you can now go all the way up to the level 60 armadas as a G4 player. Okay? Not G3, but as a G4 player. You can go all the way up to level 60 now. So they fixed that, now expecting that the Eviscerator is going to rip your tank ship up there, allow your tank ship to start it, get your starter chest, and still provide repair-free armadas for your strong brutes that are coming with you. All right. Shiz says the Gorn Eviscerator takes players one grade up. Well, Yeah, that's what I
Not
said.
anymore.
G3 can't
Oh,
go.
yeah, one grade up.
Yeah, G4
Yeah.
can go to G5. I said G3 can't go to a level 60, but a G4 player can go all the way to a level 60.
Yeah.
Which means that a player with a well-tiered eviscerator is going to be able to rip you up there, use the tank. Now, I feel like this is step A, step B, step C, step D to do what we could have done with the Voyager or the NX-01 to begin with. But the idea is that now those players aren't going to spend on repairs. Let me ask G6 players or even late G5 players in the audience, are repairs for group armadas a concern to you at this particular stage in the game? Now, before we all say no, because they're not, okay? They used to be. All right. This to me cracks me up because this is a perfect bird's eye view into development time cycles at Scopely. All right. Because repair costs for G6 ships used to be very bad. As a matter of fact, repairs to G5 ships used to be very bad. As a matter of fact, I remember us talking about ships like the Daredevils, all right, and the Enterprise D, that people couldn't afford to fly them because of the humongous tritanium repair costs.
Yeah.
Now, they're not anymore, okay? They're not, admittedly, but they used to be. So if you go back a year and a half, the tank ship probably had a place in the game. The tank ship came too late. It's a day late and $1 short. All right. Not only is the cost extremely expensive to get it up to a usable tier, but it also provides a utility that is no longer necessary in the game. That being said, that's where it was born. All right. That's where it was born. So coming back to Vial, does Vial have a viable place on a ship other than the Vindicator?
DJ, for me, she does.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
why I'm going for it.
Let's talk
And
about
here's
that.
where-
Because, by the way, you, Matters, Jules all say to do it. So why? Where do we put her?
So she is going to help me as I go through and go into G5. She's going to help me get enough Armada loot so that I can max pull everything. I'm going to be running a lot of FKR Armadas that are now going to be solos for me so that I can get all of the loot. That's the only way I can see that I'm ever going to have to be able to max pull once I get into G5.
Okay.
And with her below deck, I don't have to worry about putting a anything crit on the bridge, and now I can throw multiple shots.
There you go.
With my Tribby, I'm going to have burning. Just 2 days ago, in round 2 or 3, I threw 57 shots or something like that. It was absolutely ridiculous with burning, the Trib, the whole thing. Yeah. With her, all of those shots by round 4 will be crits. And my crits with my isolytic are 20 times more damaging to the hull than a normal shot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not only that, but I mean, it does just give you a crit build for Armadas that you did not have before. I mean, what did you use? You did not have that crit build opportunity, except for maybe Cisco in the bridge,
No, actually, I was running Chakotay as captain because his officer ability builds crit. And I have him at tier 4, actually. So he has been my captain because he's been throwing extra shots and building my crit.
Now, White Wolf says, and this is something we tinkered with on the show the other night. Holy cow putts. What's the crew to get that many shots? Well, we were playing with that. You ran Chakotay.
I ran
Miles, and Dayjosh, right?
Yep, it did. Yep. And I had burning below, and I have a T10
Tribune.
Tribby. So, I'm every time it burns, I'm
So, by the
free
way,
forward.
just throwing this out there, that's going to require like an extreme amount of aligning of the stars. Okay, it's gonna require an extreme amount of aligning of the stars to get Chakotay and not to have a Lazy Miles and DeJosh, who also has a percentage proc rate at low tiers. So I mean, the stars had to line up just right. All right. Plus, you had to have burning and et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So that, by the way, that was a real thing. And even I tested that on screen, and it looks like we are late for a commercial break, so we'll have to take that here in a second. But on screen, I tested that, and I had mixed luck getting all that stuff to proc, but still ended up with 27 shots out of one weapon. All right. 27 shots out of one weapon on the Dederadex. So it's definitely going to do something for the isolytic output because, again, best place to increase output no matter what you do is just increasing the number of shots because then you're going to have isolytic on top of that. All right. It's not mitigating everything, and isolytic is 200 to 300% more than that anyway. I mean, it's a huge, huge pendulum swing. All right. Shiz says, DeJosh seems to proc a lot even at tier 1. Yeah, she does. She procs pretty good. Not, 100% reliable, but decently well. So Clifford summarizes, said this month's officer then is just below deck con. Well, I'd probably say below deck Hugh, but for armadas. All right. And let's not pretend you could say below deck con. That's fine. But let's not pretend that con for the longest time in this game wasn't a go-to on the bridge.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for
and I want to do
the
one
better
more
part
chart.
of 2 years, he was a go-to. Go ahead, Jules.
So one more chart. It's in the circle, most recent from me. This is what's showing what a typical G4 player would be in if they had a tier 2 IL, and if they were in an armada where they were targeted maybe twice, maybe once each round from the armada. You still, by the end of round 4, are getting a 30% increase in your crit chance, which is effectively, I think that's a Cerritos boost or pretty close to a Defiant boost. So let's not pretend that she isn't still effective, and she's not changing your bridge. You're still going to use the exact same Armada crew you were using before. You're just going to swap out a slot below decks. So I would still say that Vielle is probably more effective than almost any other officer that you would put below deck in an Armada, regardless.
Yeah.
Regardless of what type of player, what type of team you're going to go with, what type of tier you have on Vielle. So I still think that she has a lot of value and she should be targeted. And the unlock is going to be the vast majority of benefit for a lot of players.
Yeah, I do want to circle back on that here in just a second, but I kind of want to hone in on his comments right there. 30% crit chance increase, okay? Now, in and of itself, we would be looking at that as significant, all right? I mean, there are primes that don't give 30% crit chance. As a matter of fact, I believe there is a prime out there that, well, maybe it does. Is it 50%? No, I don't think it's quite that high.
No, it's not 50.
It's not 50, is it? What is it, 20, 25%? I think it was a multi-level prime, 25% and then 25%, something like that. All right. So, I mean, you're talking there are other things in the game that provide crit chance increase that are not 30% that we've tripped over ourselves to get in the past. Artifacts and forbidden tech and things like that. 30% is no slouch, especially when you're looking at the opportunity to crit build over time. So this comes back to the question, is Vielle somewhat misunderstood? Yeah, I think she is, all right, because there are reasons to use her. Raj says, why only limit her to Armada usage, guys? She's going to be useful in PvE as well for G4 players. Sure. Let's talk about a scenario in which you need 2 ships. I don't know, wave defense, for example. You got Hugh on one, now you got Vielle on the second. All right? You could do something like that.
Just multiple loop grinding at the same time.
Yeah, just using a couple of different ships to effectively grind You know, because there are some players out there,
Mhm.
like myself, who are too like mentally caught up with the fact that I'm not efficiently grinding if I'm not using the most efficient crew. Right? So I just won't do it, which is crazy. Raj says, I always use at least 2 PvE ships. Well, there you go. Viel on one, Hugh on another, maybe even Riker on a third one. Okay? So, very, very interesting situation here that you've got with Viel. Is she vastly superior to Hugh? Well, I don't know. Non-Armada situations, Hugh's also been out for 2 years. So he's going to naturally have a little bit of an advantage as well. All right. But you are going to definitely want to take a look at Viel and what she's going to do. That being said, are there players that have absolutely no use? Cruzito, Canine Tooth, Jonathan Ingram. Are there going to be players out there that don't have a foreseeable future use in Viel? Sure. Absolutely. This content does not appear to be for G6 players, at least not yet.
Well, it's for some.
It could be.
I can't kill everything I can reach.
Yeah, see, I don't know how that is actually working out for you, Matters, because I can't reach anything.
Check the circle.
I can't reach anything, so I don't know what you're reaching that you can't kill, but I can't reach anything.
No, it's because he incorrectly purchased a G6 uncommon ship, built it, and then tried to use it.
This is it. So wait a second.
You're using your G5 Epic against the 68. And let me know
you're using a G6 ship. Gotcha.
Exactly.
He's using a G6
I want
uncommon
to reach more things,
and is surprised that it's
them.
dying. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
No, I can still kill the things that you can't reach. I just can't kill all the things that I can reach.
Kaviji says, yeah, there was your mistake. Okay, gotcha. You built a G6 ship. Okay.
I just need 2, so I can get 2 of them to the solo armada.
You can get to it. It doesn't matter, though, because you still can't kill it.
Yeah, now with just the one ship, I can't. Once I get my Vindicator up, then that thing's...
Yeah.
Then I'm coming back for blood.
Yeah. Once you get to tier 15 on that Vindicator, that should be pretty cheap. You're
in 2 years.
You're knocking on the door. Yeah, there you go. Just go to tier 9 and then use the cube, and you'll be fine. Come on now, wail harder. All right. So real quick, is there any other summary, any other synopsis that we missed? By the way, in case anybody would want to see this, I will also put the math for tier 5 in the graphics room. But much like Hugh, there does come a point where tiering her no longer matters. I mean, we haven't looked at this yet, but we saw tier 2 a moment ago. Let's see here. Here's tier 2. Oh, but that's not the same calculation. Well, here's the thing. Even at tier 1, by round 4, she's 100%. Here you are at tier 5. By round 2, you're at 100%. Now, do you need to go all the way to tier 5? Probably not. Okay, probably not. But we can do a little bit more breakdown in the middle for you if that becomes something that you guys are interested in. Is this an officer? Now, this is the most interesting question that I have been able to ask in a while, which I'm actually glad to be able to ask it. Is this an officer, Jules, that is worth the unlock and then kind of just enjoy the fruits of your labor?
Oh, 100%. I think Putz was saying that earlier, too. Definitely worth an unlock. Definitely worth chasing the SMS. And trying to get this officer unlocked, but I don't think that she's going to be worth chasing extra shards to get her just a tier 2 or just a tier 3, because like we see, there's really like the sweet spot is more about how you build your team, how you select your target, and what ship and crew you pair Viel with than it is about her specific tier.
Putz, do you concur that this officer is absolutely worth an unlock?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to pick and choose, and this is the one I've chosen, and I haven't chosen one in in a couple of months. You know, I was like, yeah, I definitely need to get her unlocked.
Cruzito says, yes, unlock her for the mess hall. Oh, silly goose. Oh, by the way, really quick shout out. I don't get to talk to this player nearly as often as I would probably like, but shout out to Panda, who apparently has allegedly become the first player in the game to reach Mess Hall 99. Congratulations to you. Yep.
Wow.
Yep, he's the very first one, Mess Hall 99, which apparently is a lot harder than it sounds.
I didn't know that was possible yet.
Yeah, yep. He did it. Mess Hall 99. Congratulations, Panda out there. I know that is crazy. What officer level do you need? I honestly don't remember. I think he told us. I can't remember what it was. Wow.
It's a big number.
Now, Dragon Keeper, don't
6,850 is the officer score.
6,850. So I'm knocking on the door. 6,850.
That's 229 maxed officers.
229 maxed officers. Holy smokes. That's crazy. Fisty says, my score is 5,500. I'm only at 4,500. I'm very, very behind. So, yeah, pretty close. You know, I'm actually pretty close to that. Now, very quickly, I want to address this. I see this in the chat. Dragon Keeper, quit being grumpy. Dragon Keeper says, if they had to pay this much for an unlock, and this, by the way, is what he shows on his screen, they had to pay this much for an unlock, they would say she's not worth going for. Well, goofball, don't distort the facts. All right? This is the second week, and they offered 100 shards this week. Okay? So let's come back in and take a look at this heroic solo milestone very quickly. All right? Because I actually appreciate what they did. Now, before anybody starts coming at me on this, I'm going to remind everybody that this is the formula that I have advocated for all the way back to 7 of 9. Okay? Put the full unlock in there. Let people spend what they want to spend. Housekeeping, so help me God. So help me. All right? This is what I have asked for from the very beginning. Put the entire unlock in there and let people do what they want to do. Hell, make 200 shards available. Make 300 shards available. I don't care. Make it available. People will buy or pick up or earn or blah, 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 whatever they want to. The availability is what matters. So, yes, Dragon Keeper, if you had to pay 106 million points for the unlock, you might say she's not worth going for. That's fine. That's your prerogative. Guess what? You have the chance to unlock her. Lady Unileska says, Kobayashi Maru, you got it. I'm probably not going to finish. Now, I got to be honest with you, Jules. I was planning on, I'm so silly. I was planning on going for the 4th milestone. All right, which, by the way, would have gotten me 50 this week, and I did it last week. I would have had 50. That would have given me the unlock. Well, now I'm kind of rethinking it because I haven't got my battle pass yet, and there's 20 shards in there. So I don't really need this last milestone.
There's 21 shards in the battle pass if you get the elite track as well, and there's a handful in missions. Have you completed your missions yet?
Yes. Yeah, I've done my missions, which is why I have 81 shards currently. I have 81, which means the battle pass would finish her.
Then stop spending. You're done.
I should stop spending. You're absolutely right. I should stop right now. Except my OCD is going to kill me because I've wasted 4 million points. 4.6 million to be exact. Oh, God, what do I do? Do I chalk up 4.6 million points worth of loss? I probably should.
Yes.
Probably should.
Yes.
Because why, Jules? Very good answer, by the way. I was testing you. Should this is the sunk cost fallacy. All right. I have overspent by 4.6 million points. Should I go ahead and complete 44 million points?
No,
Why not?
because you're going to waste another 17.7 million points on a few extra shards you don't need.
That I don't need and won't impact the benefit of the officer. That's exactly
Today.
right. Today. That's correct. Today.
Look,
Now,
gets
Cruzito
you
says
25
yes,
closer.
so you can progress. Well, that's true. I should. All right. And I could.
It's cheaper because you're already halfway there.
No, it's not actually, by the way.
He's not halfway there.
The math on this is
Right.
beautiful. The math on this is beautiful. So you take a look at the first 4 milestones, okay? They did this so perfectly for a change. It's mind-blowing that they can actually do it when they want to. 22 million points gave 25 shards.
Okay, yeah, you're not halfway.
22 million, for me, by the way, for me. That's not for anybody else, unless you're a 62. 22 million points gave 25 shards. 22 times 2, 44 million points, another 25. Another 22 million points, that's 66, another 25. Another 22 million points, 88, there's another 25. It's perfectly scaled. It's perfectly scaled. As a matter of fact, you remember how we used to have conversations, Putz, about players who got the first 1 or 2 milestones and they were punished?
Yes, it hurt.
Now, by the way, just for the record, that still applies for the first 2 milestones. Okay? It still applies for the first 2 milestones. But once you hit the 3rd milestone, it is even scaling from there on out. It's perfectly scaled. So it just comes down to how much are you willing to put in. Now, Scopely's not going to like the conversation we're having tonight, Jules, because we're basically telling players, get the unlock and chill. She does not provide a tangible benefit to tiering up at this point or stage in the game. So get your 100 shards and hit the brakes. Unless you're doing progression, right? That's what somebody said in the chat. Unless you're progressing. Viper says, stop camping. Whatever it is you're going to do. I mean, if you're going to progress, then sure, by all means. Okay? I might encourage you to hold that progression until there's something that's going to provide you a better reward for your extra materials.
Camping.
That is not camping. I just pushed 62, by the way. I did it when you guys told me to do it. I did it. I went to 62, so now I've got a whole nother ops level of research I got to do. I'm not camping, Cruzito. I was 61.
3 hours ago.
I was 61 and I went to 62. Now I've got research to do. I have found that a lot. This is just a side note, and then we can move on. Jules, a lot of the G6 research is really trash unless it's for hazards.
Well, some of it's good.
I haven't found one yet.
There's like the really late one. The isoletic is good. There's the weapons dampener is really good against hostiles. That decreases their piercing, so it's like having Moreau. Like that's a very powerful research, that one. Against hostiles only, though.
Yeah. Mimi says DJ's is worse than a camper. He's one of those guys that wants to do all the research and buildings at every ops. Not all of it, but yeah, I do want to get a lot of it knocked out. Yes.
I mean, to catch up.
Yeah, well, some of it matters. But now you're right. Some of it doesn't matter, too. Some of it you can skip. And then, of course, it always gets cheaper. If you go forward, then there's more efficiency research you can come back and do. So, yeah, I'm not Cruzito says don't do them until you get to upper 60s. Nah, there's some of them that I want to do. So, But, I mean, that's why I'm at 62 now. I did what I needed to do at 61, and I went. And I worked on buildings today. That's actually why I'm 4 million points over, because I was going to start working on buildings. Now I know I don't need to. Now I know I don't need to. So I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to stop right here. By the way, Jonathan Ingram, just wanted to throw out there that I'm actually holding 80 trillion resources, and you haven't gotten to them yet. Just throwing that out there.
2 hours, 57 minutes. Put that on your watch.
Oh, that's funny stuff. All right. Now, any other questions on Vielle? I feel like we've sufficiently gone through this, and there's been a lot of good teaching here. How to use her, where to use her, what she might be good for. Are there questions on Vielle? Because I want to get into something else.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. What do you got?
Well, as always, I'm gonna be devil's advocate here, and I'm gonna go a different way. I think that for a lot of players, not us, but I think for a lot of players, she is absolutely worth tearing up. When like the difference between her being maxed and her at tier 1 is 3 times, and that means you can get the same crit chance with 2 buddies coming with you instead of you taking all the shots. So I think I think for like lower level play, not lower, but I don't know, G4, even G5 players who are in maybe either smaller alliances or just alliances that don't have bigger whales to carry their armadas, and they actually are going out as teams to knock out the biggest target they can reach. I think she's a fantastic officer to get, and I think she's a great officer to level up too. It's going to open up a lot of ability to make some changes on your bridge, because crits are key to victory, and now you don't have to sacrifice a bridge slot for that.
So I've got 2 responses to that. One is serious, and one is trash keepers. Okay.
That's trash.
The trash keeper response to that is, in 3 months, there will be an officer that replaces this one, so no need to waste time tiering this one up. Probably more accurate than it's not. All right? That's argument number 1.
Have we got another Hugh since he came out?
They replace a lot of officers pretty frequently, especially in the PvP world, all right? Maybe not PvE as much, but they do it.
Not in the below decks world. They just finally added what? Troy, who's only PvE, but slightly better than Odo, and now they've just added Beer, who's like the Doctor, but only non-Armada hostiles.
Okay, all right, fair.
So I mean, they don't replace the below decks ones, and the big selling fact is that she gives you what is a necessary checkbox to punch up in a below deck slot.
I agree. And I am going to come back and kind of point out that mathematically Matters is right, especially if you're not soloing, which a lot of G4 and G5 players are not doing yet. Okay? A lot of you guys are not soloing your group armadas yet. So there does come this slideshot or this screenshot again, which is in the graphics room again. Go back to the one that shows Vielle at tier 2. This is the one where Jules is projecting that you take half the shots. All right? Half. Which we all know in a normal, typical group armada, you're not going to take half the shots. All right? So you can already look there and see, even by round 4, she's only going to get you a 30% boost to your crit at tier 2. Obviously, tier 3 would be better than that. So from that perspective, Matters is correct. That if you are not using the Vindicator, if you are taking multiple ships into combat and you're not taking all the shots, then she's going to be slower to build in an armada. All right, now, her use in PvE as far as non-armada hostiles is apparent, okay? That's fine. And for that reason, she probably does become worth, well, I would actually say that argument is backwards. Even at tier 1, by round 4, you're going to be at 100%. So, I mean, that's assuming that there's 6 weapons on that hostile. I guess that doesn't happen very much, though, does it? I don't know.
Hostels have less. Armadas typically have 4 or 4 up to 6.
Yeah.
But hostels can generally have pretty less. I mean, even like Mantis hostels, the Actian only have 1 weapon per round.
Yeah, so I don't know. You know, like Hugh, it's going to depend on your target. Okay, it's going to depend on your target. It's going to depend on how many weapons they have. And it goes back to the same screenshot that we had in the very, very beginning when we were comparing Hugh, and I don't even know where that went now. When we were comparing Hugh and looking at how good Hugh was going to be, it's the same form of comparison. All right, depends on your target. Is Vial worth tearing up? Well, that probably depends on whether your primary focus is non-Armada hostiles or Armada hostiles, and are you using the Vindicator or not? Those are probably going to be your 2 or 3 criteria for how important tiering this officer is going to be. All right? So, for example, for me, I'm not using the Vindicator. Trash. It's just me. And I solo a lot of Armadas, and tier 1 is going to be good enough for me. Does that sound like an accurate statement there, Jules? Like if I'm going to single ship it, and I'm not flying Vindicator, then tier 1's good enough for me. In Armadas.
Yes.
There you go. Okay. Boom.
I mean, we're still talking about below deck, so definitely worth the slot.
Yeah, below deck, because on the bridge, where's the sound bite from Trash Keeper? I don't know if I actually ever put that up. Did I actually put that up? Let me see if I did. I can't remember if I did or not. Oh, my gosh. I did not, but I did get something else. Is Dr. Juby here? He sent me something. We'll use this to kind of separate the 2 segments because I want to get into Jules' segment next. Tarpy, you're here, right? Tarpy's here. Dr. Juby may or may not be. He sent me something for you. He requested a song for you. Let me press this little button. This is what I'm doing instead of taking a commercial break.
Tumbles you'll adore. Mason jars full of floods, collect them for your art. Office neighbor strange, attorney out of range. Asbestos for a snack, living life off track. Dawn goes in every shade, farts and jars escape. Dr. Juby's got the gear, techno beats right here.
Wait, what? He did it? This is AI? Oh my God.
Fart jars on the shelf, honest of the wealth.
All right, I'm done with that. There, I didn't realize that he actually created that. That was an AI creation, some dongle thing him and Tarpy got going on. I thought I was looking for the Trash Keeper sound, which I thought I had, but I guess I don't. There you go. Okay, Jules, let's move on. Should we take a break? We need to. Let's take a very quick break, community. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Jules is going to revisit a piece of content that is now approaching 1 year old. So what has changed, and why are we looking at the NX-01 differently today than we were a year ago? Jules is going to come in with some more math, analytics, and breakdown as to why this particular piece of content has officially changed and what you can do to maximize your efficiency with it. We're going to take a very quick break. And when we return, more from the stage of Talking Trek Live, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast, right after a word from our sponsors.
This portion of the show brought to you by crazybunch.org. Are you old like Bubba Joe and get tired playing video games? Surtail has a solution for your health and wellness needs, especially while gaming. You could try an energy gummy for those long incursion events, or just to keep yourself conscious while you're doing all that mining. Surtail is an independent distributor of all aerial products you'll need to improve your gaming experience. Message Surtail on Discord or visit crazybunch.org for more information.
Yo, what's up, Commanders? Great news about PvPtarget.com. You've known for a while that it exists and has some great reference tools regarding PvP banding and common crew loadouts, but they've recently launched brand new tools on the site, including a brand new cargo calculator page as well. This isn't your typical max cargo style calculator, but a brand new, unique tool that identifies the timer until you go over cargo. The game timer might tell you how long to zero the node, but how long until your miner is at risk? You can find out now by using the brand spanking new cargo calculator at PvPtarget.com. Today's show brought to you in part by the Musgrove Trial Firm in Georgia. Have you suffered personal injury in Georgia? You need a buddy. Give Buddy at the Musgrove Trial Firm a call, 678-226-1994. Visit them online at
I was like, this is a good mix. This is a good mix.
I thoroughly enjoyed Throwback Night. Thank you guys for that. So yeah, just while we're doing a little bit of promotion here, we'll talk here in between the break. We are continuing to push on the new Ultimate DJs Plays channel. Fisty says, dude, you played a lot of great songs last night. It was an incredible stream. You know, I got to figure out a way. Here's the thing. The Twitch rules say I'm not allowed to do a VOD. But I'm pretty sure that means I'm not allowed to do a VOD on Twitch. Right? I think if I could find a way to record it, then I could probably put it up on YouTube, right? I think. See,
I don't know. Are you going to run into YouTube shutting you down for copyright issues?
Well, if I try not to monetize it, then it probably wouldn't matter, right? If I say, no, I don't want to monetize it, you guys just take it, like it would be okay, right? Oh, Spectre says you would get nuked for copyright. Even if I try not to monetize it? See, I don't know. Okay, so YouTube's not the right place. Maybe put it on Patreon. Maybe put it on Patreon. I could do that because I do have a license for audio radio broadcast. But see, I still have to. Well, here's the deal. Iron Chef says you can record to your computer on OBS. Yes, but I'm afraid do that. And let me explain why. All right. So that's Studio B. Hang on, Trash Keeper. You shut up. All right. Give me a second here. I'm self-promoting. I'm allowed to do that. I'm trying to grow a second channel, okay? I need all the help I can get. So I'm scared of doing that, Iron Chef, because I'm in Studio B, so it's a different computer. It's not the $7,000 stud that I have in this studio. It's a different computer, and it's not a $7,000 stud. And it's running all the music. It's running OBS. I'm afraid to have it record at the same time that it's trying to do all the other stuff. Like, I could try it, but I'm afraid that it's gonna freak out if I try to add any more processes to it.
Is that same computer also doing your video tracking and green screen?
Yes. Yeah. Well, no. Not technically. So I'm using my Galaxy Ultra for that, and then it's coming in as a webcam source. So not as much processing power there, probably. But nonetheless, I'm scared. All right, I'm scared about overclocking it and then it messing up the stream itself. But I'll tell you, we have had a good time. We did our second show last night, and it was great fun. As a matter of fact, some of you guys may have seen it. I put a link up in the announcements channel yesterday just to say, okay, Studio B is going to be open, and I decided to let the audience pick the theme. Well, obviously, we're a bunch of old farts, all right? Throwback obviously won, Jules Verne. The options were today's hits, country and rock, house techno, all request, which was, that was probably a terrible idea. I'm kind of glad it didn't win. And then throwback. Well, throwback clearly won. It was the overwhelming favorite. It gained more votes than pretty much almost all the remaining choices. Fisty said 80s to 90s worked really well, which is what we did. We did it for almost 4 hours. What was it, like 3.5 hours, Fisty? And it was a great deal of fun. I'm getting a little bit better over there with the production as far as what we're doing on stream. I need to get some more emotes for you guys over there. I need to get some more on-screen graphic stuff. But, I mean, basically, you got to think, we've been doing this channel now for almost 3 years, and we're still evolving on it. And I just launched that other channel last month, so it's going to take me a little bit of time to evolve that. But it was a great deal of fun. And I really appreciate all the people who have come by and supported and enjoyed that show. It is... it's just like any other DJ channel that you see on Twitch, except I don't know, it's ours, right? There's a lot of DJs out there. The DJ's channel is absolutely blowing up. So what sets me apart? Absolutely nothing, other than you guys know me and we're having fun but I would very much like to get it, big. Like, I don't know if I'll ever be Pica big, but yeah, and I'm certainly not good looking, so people aren't watching me for that. But the music was a lot of fun last night. You guys were great in the audience, and if you haven't checked it out, please be sure to do that. Twitch.tv/Ultimate DJs plays. Okay, Ultimate DJs plays, where this was just twitch.tv/Ultimate DJs. The link is in the Twitch chat right now, and it'll also be over in the Discord if you guys would like to check that out. And maybe next time, I know, Vic, Pike has got the advantage on the looks. That's true. She's also got the advantage on the skills. Let me tell you something. So we rated Database last night. This will be the last thing before we get into the NX-01, Trash Keeper, so hold your horses, all right? I raided into Database last night because they were doing some trance and stuff like that. But let me tell you something. I watched Database for a little bit, and then I went over to Pika's channel, and she had just transitioned. Dude, she went full costume, all right? She put on one of the purge masks and had, like, this hood and cloak and did bass. She played bass last night, like the bass rumbles and the super hard dubstep. Oh my gosh. That is probably, I wish, see, now that is something I would have bought on an album. If she had recorded that and that was available on an album, I would pay money for it. That was probably the best stream that I have ever seen her play. And the music was insane. I mean, how many of you guys have actually ever listened to like a full bass mix track? I don't even know how to explain it. I didn't even know you could mix bass. Curmudgeon says her bass streams are always the best. Oh my God. That's the first one that I've caught then, because that was by far the best set I have ever heard her play, and I didn't think it could get better. Because she's an incredible, incredible talent. I also did not know that. Did you guys know that she was one of the top Twitch DJs? Like one of the top Twitch DJs on the entire platform. I did not know that. I just thought she was another performer, but no. I mean, she's like one of the highest, most watched DJs on Twitch. I mean, she's a celebrity. She's a Twitch celebrity. Well, she deserves it. She is ridiculous. What a talent. You guys be sure to check her out. That's twitch.tv/Pica as well. But what I was actually saying there a little bit, Jules, is that I would like to grow that channel. Like, I think that I have a skill. Those of you who have watched me play, you guys know everyone has always asked if I was a real DJ. Well, hopefully I've answered that question over the last 2 weeks. I consider myself to be a decent DJ. Seth, get bent. Seth says, it's all right.
You know what makes you a good DJ?
Thanks a lot, Seth.
Is the fact that you're willing to take in very different music from like just different energy levels and make it sound great together. So I think that was incredible to watch. So
I appreciate that. Stream. There was a couple of really weird tracks like that last night. There was a couple of weird ones. TV killed the radio star. I know, right? Silvertab says the first stream was rusty. Last night was tight. I'll tell you, the first stream was, I mean, you got to think that first stream was only the second time I've touched those turntables in the last 5 years. I mean, it is like riding a bike. You'll never forget how to do it, but that doesn't mean that like you're ready to go, riding stunts the first time after 5 years. So I'm working on getting better. But, Goblin Game says, you're going to have to do some better with some on-screen effects with channel redeems. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to build the channel, and I want to do more, and I would love for you guys to be along for the ride, watch me grow the channel, and have some fun with it. And who knows, maybe one of these days I can be Twitch famous like Pica. That would be great. That's right. Who's Lorca? We're going to talk about him today. You bet your butt, okay? Lorca, Fleet Commander Lorca. No, I'm just kidding. But is Lorca good? Says Cruzito. I don't know. All right, listen. What were we going to talk about? Oh yeah, Jules.
The NX-01, yes. The refresher.
Jules, wait a second. You mean to tell me that the NX-01 is relevant again? You're gonna have to lead me into this. Why do we want to talk about the NX-01 tonight?
Yes, because there's two different things that have recently come out this month that actually it's all one big thing. It's the Alliance tournaments. And for two reasons.
Don't start me on Alliance tournaments, damn it. Don't do it.
I just did. I'm doing it now.
You know what?
I'm actively doing it.
Hold on. I'm going to pause right here. Wait, are you talking about arenas? Or are you talking about Alliance tournaments?
Alliance tournaments.
Well, that is a sore subject with me.
Okay, I will get right past it. You asked the question, just to be clear here. But the reason why the NX-01 deserves...
Hold on, Jules. I can't hold it in anymore. Scopely, what are you doing? The one thing you had to do, Woosah, the one thing you had to do was be consistent. Like, that's all you had to do. You made great changes between the first and second run. It wasn't perfect. It was vastly improved. Vastly improved between the first and the second run. There is absolutely no reason to not run it this month. There is absolutely no reason to back burner that feature.
Yeah, just run it.
Moreover, you had people who invested money into that feature to get the rewards to maybe obtain or unlock half of a prime. What about the other half? Woosah. It was recently announced. It was recently announced that Alliance tournaments were not scheduled to run in the month of October and were not scheduled to run for November.
Oh. That part I didn't know.
Now, here's the deal, okay? This is why I have so much frustration with the interpretation of feedback. All right. I am not going to put 100% of the blame on Scopely. I am going to put 90% of the blame on Scopely. But guys, we are absolutely 10% of this problem. We have got to do better with feedback because you know what? They made the changes. They came back. They made the changes. And then when the second run happened, people still complained. Now, there was a reason, okay? It wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect. But due to the community feedback, it has been reported that Alliance tournaments are being tabled until such time that they can investigate a better way to improve the customer satisfaction to the community.
Oh, that's never.
Cruzito says they were great the second time. I felt like they were pretty good to me on the second time. But, Cruzito, that's because we're G6. That is because we're G6. G4 and G5 still did not have as good a run. All right? Although it was still better than the first run. So Sith Lord says, so all the stuff that we're halfway on, now we're hosed. Wonderful. That's kind of my point. Hammy and I talked about this on the show the other night, and that blindsided me, by the way. I did not know that they weren't planning on running it this month. He blindsided with me that with that on me. Blindsided me with that news. I'm so frazzled. Blindsided me with that news on Thursday's show that they were not scheduled to run in October. And what? Why not? Like, why not? That's crazy. All right? But then on top of that, the announcement was given, not publicly, by the way, so forgive me. The announcement was given then that they're not doing it, that there are no plans to run it in November either. Now, I have a huge problem with this. Okay, a massive problem because the was it perfect? No. But the only thing you had to do was to remain consistent. It had to remain consistent because it was promoted as the available sourcing to a lot of things. Putz, you talked about it. Matters, you talked about it. That even if it was bad, it was still providing sourcing to things never before sourced in the game. Like, no matter what on the tasks. No matter what on the tasks. And this is why we got to get better at interpreting feedback. It doesn't matter about the task being free to play or not. I mean, it does. It does. Don't take me out of context. But even if they didn't, which was the complaint from G4 and G5, right, that they were still really bad, you still got the Alliance rewards and the Emerald Chain XP out of the tournament rewards. Like, you were still paid, even if you couldn't do all the tasks. Dead last place, still paid.
BJ, you said that you weren't going to editorialize tonight.
You're right.
I know. Preach, brother, preach. And I am This is the most mad I've ever been with this tournaments thing, and I've held it in. Privately, I have said my piece, and I'm beside myself. I'm so mad. I just, ugh. I'm starting to lose respect for people. That's how mad.
You gotta be careful with that, all right? Because it may or may not be. It's almost certainly not at the level that we get to.
No, yes, I understand. When I say, that's why I say I'm starting to lose respect. That's just all I got to say.
The decision making on this is wild. All right, the inconsistency is the problem here. Listen, I get it; it's not perfect. But, I kind of jokingly say this. If you backburnered everything, I said this to Hammy, if you backburnered everything that wasn't 100% perfect, you wouldn't have a damn game. Because nothing in this game is perfect. So take some of the stuff that is mostly good and let's roll it. All right? The Kirshar artifact is another example. Like, why? Incursions, another example, which, by the way, both Alliance tournaments and arenas are better than incursions, but they've tabled that too. Where's the War Room event? Tabled.
This is the thing. Like the loops that require an event-like structure that are bigger than a single day's worth of events, right? That are bigger than a 10-minute grind. Cerritos Wednesday, perfectly fine. Vindicator Thursday, perfectly fine. But when they start building incursions, which kind of disrupts your gameplay for a day, or War Room, which kind of changes row on your server, or arenas, which basically takes all your miners off their nodes. Like, these things are big disruptions in the game, and they've struggled to find the balance to keep these events consistently played.
Well, this is an extreme frustration to me. I'm very upset about it. I have voiced my opinion in developer chat as politely as I could. As a matter of fact, here's what I wrote. I am not going to try to conceal my frustration with this decision. The inconsistency is confusing. I strongly urge reconsideration on this decision. That's all I wrote. All right. Honestly, because if I write any more, it's going to turn into a rage-filled word salad, and that's probably not going to do anything. All right. I am just, Count DeVille, myself included. I mean, it's not just, this is not a selfish thing. This is from anybody who invested any amount of money and or currency into that event store. I mean, it was praised as being sourcing for a lot of things that weren't present in the game. And now it's tabled for it was also, by the way, promised that it was a monthly run. But now it's been removed from October, and it's been removed from November.
Why they
So
still
should we
make
move on?
decisions based on official Discord and player responses there is beyond me.
Well,
Like, it's a dumpster fire. Everyone hates everything.
Vul says, it's not only currency, DJ, and money, but I spent hours teaching my alliance mates how to help them use this mechanic for the betterment of our alliance. I get it. I just don't understand. I really don't understand. I mean, that feature was not bad. It wasn't perfect. But, I mean, you've got a lot of sourcing here now. What about Emerald Chain? Where are you going to go with that? I mean, so this is absolutely amazing. Just absolutely mind-boggling amazing.
So let me restart my segment by saying nothing has changed with the NX-01, but it's time for a refresher.
You did this, Jules. The fact that it showed up, that's what it is. The NX-01. The NX-01 showed up in Alliance tournaments, and they were like, that's it. We got to bottleneck it. The NX-01 is going to get too much progress. All right. Oh, Lord. All right. NX-01. Let's get back to it. I will keep you posted. I will keep you posted on the Alliance tournaments, but I'm pushing heavily to get that to continue. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't buy the fact. I'm going to reserve comment. I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. I'll keep you posted on that. Okay, Jules, I'm muting muting my mic. You talk about the NX-01. I'm muted.
Well, there is only one sourcing. That is through the export faction store. We'll not talk about any other sourcing. There is also it doesn't appear in the event store. Does anyone know if they see it, if they do not have the NX-01? Because I'm pretty sure it's just not available in the event store. But otherwise, we have sourcing through the export faction store. And I kind of want to go through some crewing as you go through. Okay, so it does sound like it is in the event store for players who don't already have it. Or maybe somewhere else. Yep, so we've got on the screen, DJs is sharing the spreadsheet that we've made for it, the export faction, NX-01, Zindi hostiles, and really what the NX-01 is really for, the loot that it's for, is for the aquatic. So we are going to very specifically only talk about crewing for the Zindi aquatic battleships at first. So as you are obtaining the ship, and when you first start out, one of the biggest problems you're going to run into is getting enough tech modules. If you target against a level 40 ship, you're not going to get that many tech modules. Your ship may die pretty soon. So, and the big reason for that is there's these hostiles. If you can, DJs, open up the link to the first level 40 battleship, what you'll notice, these hostiles have a very high-powered weapon in Weapon 5 that typically also shoots a very large, Weapon 4 that has a high crit chance. So crit chance and crit damage, which basically means you're guaranteed to hit a very big shot in Weapon 4. That means they have a very huge amount of weapon damage in Weapon 1, and then they kind of tail off. Now, there is a very specific crew that is kind of built to keep you alive as long as you can survive past this first weapon. Now, very specifically, when we look at the battleships, they also have this go-home cannon. This go-home cannon, 30% chance to proc this go-home cannon. When it does, it will send you home. This is going to be true for any players. That go-home cannon is probably going to send you home unless you're sending a ridiculously high NX-01 versus a ridiculously low ship. So battleships, you are still kind of playing this RNG game, but they have a 10x loot in the tech modules. So it's kind of like that jackpot, that loot goblin, but there's a chance he may die against it. So it is worth targeting those over the others if you can hit high enough to where it's going to be beneficial. And DJ, there's a screenshot that says battleship loot comparisons in my show notes, if you can bring that up on screen. What this will show you is the base amount of loot per level of hostile. There's also a export favor, which you should definitely be targeting as a intro player, is going to give you a loot bonus against these hostiles. And then I've also included in here what it would be like if you added a 100% loot bonus, like for the max 511. Or if you used Archer as your captain, you got an additional 300% loot bonus. So you can see here that by saying, hey, instead of hitting the 40s, I'm going to try to hit as high as possible, because even if I can only kill one of those, even if I die 6 times, but then I kill one, it may be enough to cover the costs of pulling the chest so that I can now upgrade my NX-01. So the crew that we're going to be using is Leslie. Leslie is going to keep you alive. Now, you won't be able to do a lot of damage against these higher level ships, so you are going to burn it to the ground, which means you'll need Nero on the bridge. Or if you're lucky enough to have a tier 5 Neelix, you can also free that slot up for something else. By putting Nero on the bridge, you make sure that even if you survive all 100 rounds, he is going to burn down that ship. Quick sidetrack, why would we use Nero over Giorgio? Matters, do you have an answer for that?
Because of the firing pattern of the NX-01, it gets enough shots that even a low-level Nero, even though he has a smaller percentage chance, it's based on each shot instead of each round. So you've got a higher chance per round of causing burning using Nero than you do with Giorgio. The biggest benefit to Giorgio is that she will allow for a first round proc of burning, which in this fight isn't particularly important.
Exactly. And Paulo has perfect on there. Gigi can be lazy. And when you're depending on killing this in 100 rounds and burning only taking off 1%, you absolutely need to depend on that burning happening at least 99 of those rounds. And hopefully you can do 1% damage with your base shots. So Leslie here as captain with Moreau as your synergy. That makes Leslie a 10% whole health. This chart is very specific, and here's why. Most of the damage happens in the first round. So really all we're trying to do is make sure that you have 10% of whole left behind after taking that damage, which is why there's a minimum whole health percentage. Now this assumes 70% mitigation. So that is also why you may have Moreau on the side versus any other type of synergy. If you have that minimum whole health and you use this exact bridge crew, you're guaranteed to defeat this hostile as long as you can get by the go home cannon. So hit as high as possible. Some early players may say, I don't have the warp range, but the warp range favor for the NX-01 is not limited by ops. You can take the NX-01 up to 1100, 1200 warp range as an ops 40 player with the NX-01 tier 1. So you definitely want to get that favor up. You want to get the loop bonus favor up. That's your first starter favors to get this loop going. This should cover you for your refineries. Now, why are the refineries important? If you don't mind, DJs, you can go to the this big sheet here, or you can either go to the spreadsheet. But the aquatic hostile locations, yes, you've got the aquatic hostile locations. You've got the NX-01 refinery. What are you getting for that? Well, you're getting export credits. You're getting tokens to get into these systems, so you definitely want to be able to get in there. That's the scrap trade to get into the token systems. And then as you start pulling the Zindi Aquatic Exchange, that's where you get, that's what the tech modules are for. You're getting the parts to upgrade the ship, and you're also getting these opportunity chips, these regular opportunity chips. Those are going to give you a great amount of export credits. Now, the great thing about these regular opportunity chips is that you don't have to spend them. There's no cooldown. You can spend 100 in one day if you really wanted to and get 100 chests and get this massive pull that is really useful for a thing we're not going to talk about today. Now, there's a difference between the regular and the special. The regular is the regular opportunity chips. The special opportunity is rare chips, and we're going to talk about that next. So first, Leslie crew recap is the best crew because it is kind of a no-brainer. You know exactly, you can look at the chart, figure out what my whole health percentage is for my NX-01, and I know I'm going to go target to get there. This is going to be useful up until about hostile level 60. For 61 and 62, it is not useful because we kind of determined there's really no way the Leslie crew is going to have enough mitigation in order to get past that, and there's also very few NX-01s that have that level of whole health. So there's actually some different crewing once you get all the way up there. Before you get there, though, there is a chance that you can start maximizing a different set of chips. The rare opportunity chips come specifically from the battleships, and you typically are only going to kill a couple of these, each time you get a token to go in the system, maybe one, maybe less than one. So you're really not going to be racking up these rare opportunity chips too much. That's the wrong screenshot, but you're doing great. You can find the one with the phase 342, kill the level 40 aquatic battleships in round 1. This has Pike as captain. Thank you. So right around tier 5 for some high research players, and this is outdated information because there is more crit damage floor, there's more crit chance, as we've talked about. There is more base isolytic and other factors that are going to change this calculus a little bit. But we were finding that high level players starting around tier 5, most players around tier 7, tier 8, are going to be able to kill the level 40 aquatic battleships with their first 2 weapon shots. Now, why does that matter? If we go back to the link for the level 40 battleship, the go home cannon is weapon number 6. With an NX-01, you only fire 2 energy weapons in the first round, and you'll fire them before weapon 6 has an opportunity. So if you can kill the level 40 battleship before weapon 6 even have an opportunity to fire, then you can almost endlessly farm them. And let's not forget, at tier 5, tier 7, tier 8, NX-01, it doesn't matter what crew you're really using. You're gonna wipe the floor with these. You're gonna get very little whole health damage. You can probably grind for days and days and days, or for hours and hours and hours, and get a bunch of kills racked up on a single token. What that's useful for is every single battleship, you're gonna get a rare opportunity chest, a rare opportunity chip. You can start banking those up, and that means you can start pulling those chests. Now, those do have a cooldown. Those do have a cooldown on them. So by maximizing and getting the double chest, you're going to get a large amount of rare and epic export credits.
And just
So
to
go for it, Les.
You need to max pull both of those rare. You need 20 kills during the cooldown process. So I think the cooldown is like 3 or 4 or 5 days. So
3 days. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, like one trip. If you're doing that, if like for example, I now can farm them to infinity at a tier 6 with both of the energy weapons upgraded, and I just farm them until I'm tired. And yeah, and I don't even have to use fortification or Cerritos boost or anything.
Exactly. So here's a few tips, if you don't mind going back to that chart. First is crewing. Now, the highly suggested crew is Pike, Harrison, and E-Data. Now, here are the reasons why. First, Harrison is going to ignore their shields. Not many people have a max Harrison. So if you put Pike in the captain's chair, a tier 3 Harrison has 100% shield bypass. So right now, you can ignore their shields. E-Data is going to boost your isolytic. He's the best booster isolytic unless you have a max Janeway, so he is the officer to use in that case to get the most amount of damage. Now, remember, the NX-01 has a natural damage boost against these hostiles, so adding anything that does damage alone isn't really going to help. Adding anything that adds crit damage isn't going to help because you don't have time to build up your crit chance. Now, you could build up your crit chance ahead of time. Q and Vial will not work here because you need to get basically 100% crit chance in your first 2 shots. So this whole ramping up, this whole cumulative process, that's not going to help. Things that will help right away, Cerritos boost, Titan Fortify, and Titan Max Fortify. Now here's the thing with the Titan Max Fortify. There is a research called Titan Trigger. You actually only need level 4. I think the requirement for that is research and development 50, building level 50. But if you do that, that is going to double your shots, meaning that you can do, instead of doing 2 shots from each energy, or 1 shot from each energy weapon, equaling 2 shots in the first round, you actually do 4 shots in the first round. That's super helpful because if you're kind of at the teetering point between being able to kill it with those 4 shots or not, or with those 2 shots or not, that's going to basically guarantee it for you. So it's really helpful to have the Titan boost. And remembering that you have a certain timer on there. You can kind of go in there and grind. I think when this was first kind of coming out, we were going in there and hitting 60, 70 hostiles in a run, and that would tide us over for a while before we'd be able to build back up to get that max fortify in there again. Additionally, crit damage floor is kind of one of the big ones that has changed, since we now have that available to us through the NSEA Protector refinery for the research nodes. So that will be helpful to players now as well. So I think Everywhere Matters was actually doing the math and found that a tier 2 NX-01 could technically do this. Truly, what you need to do, and this is if you want to figure out if you're ready to do this, all you need to do is take a look at go out, kill a level 40 battleship, take a look at and actually you can do this against an interceptor. You do not need to do this against a battleship. Take a look at the actual hull damage you did per shot. If you're going to not do max fortify and get double shots, you need to do 92.4 billion per shot. If you can't do that, using whatever boost you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to do, if you can't do that, you're not ready yet for 2 shots. But if you can do 46.2 billion and you've got Titan Trigger to level 3 and you can max fortify, then you can do it much earlier. So some players are going to be able to do it tier 3, tier 2, as Everywhere Matters has been mathing out. All right, so that is kind of phase 2 in your crewing. So we've got phase 1, you're using Leslie, you're punching up, you're getting tons of tech modules. That refinery is not a problem to you, no worries. Next, you're starting to maximize the rare opportunity chest or chips so that you can pull that extra rare and epic export credits. Now, let's talk later in the game for a lot of players. This is around tier 9, tier 10. You're starting to hit the level 60s. And you're finding that I can't really punch up any higher. My costs for my refinery are getting a little bit out of control. How can I more efficiently punch up? And this is where a little bit of difference has been happening. Right at the actual level 60 point, there is a short-term crew that may help you. Tau. This is, we're using Archer as captain, Gigi as your side chair to get you your burning, and Tau. You cannot use Neelix below decks because Tau and Neelix do not work together, so you have to have GG on your side chair. Why do this? Well, if you're at a point now where the level 60s aren't a problem for you with the Leslie crew, and you're actually killing them probably faster than the 100-round limit, you're killing them in 17 less rounds, well, you can actually switch to a not as good crew, but allows you more loot per kill. So that's going to be really useful for that short term where you can't reach the 61, 62s, you can't kill them yet, but you are kind of hitting the limit of what the Leslie crew can do for you. Okay, so that's phase 3-ish.
Do we have
the last one?
Do we have a screenshot for that one? I missed that one.
I don't. You can, if you look in the actual chart itself, it's on the crewing charts and calculators, and scroll all the way to the left. And this is actually, we were researching this and figuring out what it takes to get there prior to learning about the Leslie crews, thanks to Magoo and some other players that kind of researched that Leslie crew and figured out that was better for punching up. But we were using Tau and figuring out how good Tau could be. So there's a little bit of math in there, not super useful because it's going to be really dependent on things like the NX-01 repairs, the emergency Explorer protocols, your PICU level, a lot of those repairing type of researches, and there's a lot more repairs that even exist now in the game since the Premium Dust one that came out and some other ones that came out. So there's a lot more repair versions that come out there that make the Tau crew even better and more effective. But that is a small bit. I do not have a screenshot for that.
Run that crew again. You said the crew was what as captain?
Archer as captain. So that what we're doing here is we're switching Leslie out. We're putting loot in. So Archer goes in, and then you have Giorgio and Tau. So you're still burning down the hostile. You have to burn it down faster, so you're still depending on your ship actually doing some significant damage in there. But then you have Archer there in the captain's chair to actually start getting you some more of that loot.
All right, so I'm going to build this because I can't find the screenshot. So we're going to run. I'm going to put this on screen. Archer is captain. There
This
we
is
go.
actually a good test for you. This will be interesting to see.
Yeah, because you
what
know
are
what?
you hitting right now?
I'm learning here because Leslie does not work for the 61s. I can kill the 60s with it, but the 61s will kill me. I can't go any higher than that. So I'd love to try this out. All right, Archer, Tal, and what else?
Gigi. And you're going to need all of your hostile killing below deck officers. So this would actually be a good spot for Vael. This is a great spot for Borg Q and all of your
is Armadas only,
No.
right?
The new
No.
officer? No, Vael is hostile.
Yeah, hostiles and armadas. Yeah, she's non-armada hostiles and armadas.
If you got pick Q, throw
Is she?
him in there as well.
Yeah, that's why she's both. She both, man. All right, so we got Archer, we got Tao, we got Gigi, and then the full gambit of below decks officers, which is going to be Chapel. That's going to be Tom Paris. Do we need Tom Paris? We're going to put Balana under there. We're going to put Hugh under there. We're going to put Odo under there. Okay. What do you think? Do you like Tom Paris? Don't need Tom Paris? No? Yeah?
What are you hitting?
Now,
The 60s. I think you need Tom Paris.
Yeah,
You want mitigation on there.
If you
now,
were
hang
on the
on.
road, definitely use Paris.
So now Tal doesn't work for 61s. Tal's going to be limited to 60.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Tal is only for 60s.
Huh.
So you're not going to try this on level 61s. You're going to try this on level 60s. And here's the reason why. You're probably not filling your cargo when you are going up against.
I am not.
Exactly. So by putting Archer on there, you're actually doubling the loot you're going to get. Now, you still may only get one battleship per hull, but you're going to double the loot on that battleship. So you're going to get more loot per run that you do. And that is the point. The point of this crew is if Leslie isn't doing it for you, but you can't hit the 61s, he's a great way to hit up to the 60s. And Voltron's got it right. At some point, you may start maxing your cargo with this crew, and you may want to put E-Data below deck or another below deck officer that increases cargo. But there's a few more cargo researches recently in the game, so this may not be as big. So while you're doing that, there was another thing too. Tal does not work against 61 plus. So there is no reason to even try to use this crew anywhere other than the 60s. Or even if like you're hitting the 59s with the Leslie crew, but you could maybe hit the 60s, you could try it with the 60s. We don't have a minimum hull health because it relies on a lot of other factors. Your power output, your isolytic, your crit damage, all of that stuff is going to play a factor. Your level of Tau exactly is going to play a factor. And how I will get to crews for 61 plus in a second. I want DJs to go ahead here and experiment a little bit.
Yeah, I was taking a look because crazy enough, I was actually doing this earlier today. Here, it looks like it was too far back for me to show the level 60s that I had hit with Leslie, but you can see that I was doing some grinding against the level 40s today. And same thing, I was using the crew that you had laid out. That was a Pike Data Harrison crew, and just kind of proof positive. You know, there you go. It never even, it looks like it got off one shot. There's where I was able to take it out before it got to the later weapon. So that was on the level 40s. Now I thought that I had a level 60 in here, and I may not because it looks like I did. There was a couple of armadas.
There it is.
No, that was an armada.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, that was the Zindi final weapon that I was using there. So I don't think it looks like that I was that I had done that before coming back. Yeah, it looks like I was trying to do ticketed events and stuff today. But yeah, no, I have noticed that like going and trying to hit the 61s, I get tanked by the go home cannon. So I had been limited it to 60. Now I could do it with the Leslie hull, with the Leslie crew, but you're right. I was only coming home. As a matter of fact, I know the exact amount. It was roughly $5 million per hostile.
and then I would die, right? So it was one hostile. I would get 5 million because that was basically enough for basically one pull. So it was, one day would be one hostile. So yeah, it'd be nice to have a crew that would do that, and we're going to tinker with that. Right now, only 15 seconds left until I get into that system. And for the podcast audience, I've done exactly what he suggested. I've got my Enterprise NX-01 is a tier 9, so it's a little bit higher than what we've talked about as far as necessity. But I do have Archer and GG and Tal on the bridge, specifically against these level 60s. And we're going to come in here and we're going to take a look for a battleship. And you're saying that, are we still subject to the 30% rule here, or is this supposed to do kind of the same thing in which we're going
you're
to...
still subject.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully you've got some good RNG today.
Well, it looks like we did, in fact, kill that one. So we got a point. We killed that. It took approximately 25% of my hull, so I'm probably going to be able to do that at least twice more. My Tal, for those of you asking... Gosh, I don't actually know what tier my Tal is. 5% per round. So what is he then? That's only tier
1.
I really haven't chased him. I've got him unlocked. So he's tier 1 at 5%, and that was good. So let's try another one. See if RNG can hold out.
Well, first, look, did you see your cargo?
Cargo was 13 million.
You got 13 million off of that first one, and you only have a cargo hold of around 15 million. So this tells me that, you're going to max your cargo out. You're going to start swapping your below decks for cargo officers. And this may mean that on your next upgrade, when you get to tier 10, your first upgrade may just be the cargo hold.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking E data and throwing him below deck seems like it's going to be something important here. If you were looking here, Jules, what is the below deck crew that you're going to sub out if you are trying to do this efficiently? And what we had done here, and I'm going to show the below decks as well. What I ran specifically for this was, again, Archer, GG, Tal on the bridge. I ran Chapel, Hugh, BLT, Tom Paris, Harry Kim, and Odo below deck. So I would imagine, honestly, if I was going to throw data under here, I could probably do it in the place of Odo. Don't you think?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that you're killing these things. You really only need to kill a battleship and then an interceptor to round yourself out, or even 2 battleships, and clearly you're going to be able to survive those. I'd still keep Paris because mitigation is pretty important here, and I'd still keep BLT. But there's some other officers that you can kind of sub out in that regard.
I think that I might potentially, just for funsies, we're going to run this again, except I'm going to add Doctor under deck. We'll put it in place of Chapel, since you're wanting to keep Tom Paris
Don't do Doctor. You have 600% loot bonus. Doctor's not really going to be doing a lot to you. I'd rather put on Strange New Worlds La'an for even more cargo.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you're going to be filled in 2 shots anyway.
Yeah.
So the Doctor really isn't helping you.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, I was
You won't be able to do it in 1 after you put data on. Even with the Doctor.
Gotcha. All right, so we'll throw La'an on, and then we'll go back. We've got La'an, we've got data, and we'll run back and try that a second time. But that did work actually very, very nicely and tripled the loot that I would have gotten off 1 hostile, and therefore tripled the loot that I would get off 1 run. See, the Leslie crew is only going to get you 1 shot, and that's it. So, like that.
But here's the thing. You don't actually need to crew anything else for the rest of time. If you can continue to max cargo all the way up to max tier, can you think of any reason why you wouldn't want to be going to level 60 space and hitting the battleships every time?
Well, no. I mean, not that I can think of. Just like there's no real reason for me to farm the rare opportunity chips above level 40, right? Like I don't have to do that. So,
there's one reason. It's getting sent home early by the go home cannon. If you hit that go home cannon, you get sent home with no loot because that was the first one you hit. Well, then it's a wasted trip, and it's really more about the warp time than it is anything else.
Oh, for
So
sure.
there
Yeah.
is an additional crew, which I don't know exactly when it's going to take, and you can maybe try this out today too on screen. But there's an additional crew that can help guarantee some success against level 61 plus interceptors. And why interceptors over battleships? Well, hitting the interceptors will still give you a great loot increase because it's another hostile level above. It does not have the chance for a go home cannon, and using this particular crew can lower the first round damage, making survivability a lot easier.
The biggest problem with
So,
that, though, is that you don't get the
yeah,
chips, though, right? There's no chips in the interceptors.
but you're not
No,
getting
you get
20 chips per 3 days by doing this trick. Like by what you're doing now, you're going to hit 2 or 3 of these and be set for a week. If I need to do 20 of the battleships every 3 days, I don't really care about a few extra battleships I'm going to hit up in deep space, in the deeper systems.
So,
I'm going to just farm 3 more in the level 40 system.
so what we're doing here is that we're after the tech modules with
Exactly.
the 60s. But if you were after scrap, that's where you're suggesting to go up against the 61s.
No, I'm just saying the tech modules, they also increase. And yes, there is a 10x bonus for the battleships, but here's what I do on a not daily basis, obviously, because I don't need to do it on a daily basis. I go to level 62 interceptors. I have to kill 6 of them to fill my hole, but I will not die. I know I'll fill my hole. I'll still have half a hole left. I can fly on home. I can summon on home. I can do whatever I want. And I know that is not a wasted trip. So there is no, Dragon Keeper is correct. There is no reason to hit the level 61 plus if you can continue to do the strategy. It's just a RNG trip. If you're going to go up there and you're going to get killed by this first, which you didn't, lucky bastard. If you're going to go home and get killed by that very first battleship,
I'll tell you that dropping Odo and Chapel took over 25% more hull. I don't know that I would survive a second one here. So Chapel and or Odo definitely had a pronounced effect. Probably Chapel, if I had to guess. But definitely a pronounced effect there. That took double the hull. Hopefully I will survive this one. I bet I don't, though. I bet I don't. All right, so what crew are you running against the level 62 interceptors?
Pike, Moreau, Phlox. Do you remember when we were talking about those? We were kind of looking at the ftfc.space breakdown of those shots. Weapon number 4 has a 100% crit chance and a massive crit damage bonus. Especially when we get to the level 62s, that crit damage bonus is 1,000% crit damage. So it's a huge shot. By using Pike, Moreau, Phlox, I'm negating all crits, which means that shot isn't a big shot anymore. It's actually a small shot, and I can survive it. So I'm using that for now, but I know plenty of other people that are at the point now where it doesn't really matter as long as their Phlox is, where every man is Tucker, if he's tier 3 plus, Pike, Moreau, Tucker, or Archer, Tucker, and Phlox together if they are at a high enough tier. Can actually also reduce that damage enough where your NX-01 is not taking big amounts of round 1 damage, is able to survive, can take a bunch of loot, and only does have to do 3 hostiles in the level 62 system. So that is absolute end game. 3 hostiles will fill your cargo, and you're going home.
Using Phlox here, I've got a tier 2. This is combat start against players or hostiles. He will reduce the opponent's crit chance by 50%, and of course multiply that by 2.2, which is going to get you over 100% if you got Pike Moreau there. You also suggested Tucker would be interesting to use there if he is tier 3, which is also decreasing opponent's critical damage by 80%. Now, let's see, reducing critical damage. It would be 100%. That's critical damage, not critical chance. So
yes.
You do not want to use Tucker here against this particular hostile because
Yes, if he's tier 3 or higher, then by the time they get that big shot, he'll nerf it down to 0 damage. So you'll take no
he
damage.
does stack.
because he does stack. So if he's tier 3 or higher, use Tucker. If he's not, use Flox.
So tier 3 is 100% reduction.
Each shot that you take. So by the time they get that big shot with the 100% crit chance, you'll nerf it down to 0 damage.
Well, that's weapon number 4. So he would have only had a chance to proc 3 times.
But you also got Pike Moreau. You're boosting them. Pike Moreau.
Pike Moreau. Okay, so 2.2. Yeah, so if you get it to 100%,
if he's maxed, you don't need Pike. If he's tier 3 and higher, you can do it with Pike Moreau Tucker.
It's still not going to be 0%. Mimi points out 3 shots, 2.2 from Pike Moreau at 100% is 660. You're still going to end up with 90% damage on that crit. Now, it'll be less than, I mean, as Jules points out, it's a small shot, so not a big deal. But it's not 0. Won't be 0. I mean, honest with you, there's no reason not to use Flox there. I don't see any mathematical reason to use Tucker, even at tier 3. Oh, tier 3 is 120%, so it will get to 0.
There you go. That's why it's more.
All right. Well, you told me 100. I was just saying. All right. So
I was getting confused. You said 100. I just went with you. I know I have a tier 3 Flox, and I know I get 0 damage. That much I knew.
All right.
The exact number I forgot.
Wham says it's simple. Use tier 3 Tucker if you don't suck. Use Flox if you do. Okay, fine. All right, tier 3 Tucker is 120%, and so then with a Pike Moreau, that will get you to $0 critic or $0 damage criticals there. So this is going to be for interceptors above level 60. All right, so the 61s and 62s.
And again, like it's not necessary. It's not necessary to hit the 61s. If you're comfortable going to the 60s, hitting those battleships, or even if you are, super high level NX-01, you can just hit the interceptors for days. There's no reason to go higher. But it can be useful if you're maybe doing a damage event. So keep that in mind.
Also, I'm with Jules in that I'm going up and I'm hitting the 62s as well. I fill up with the 6 ships, but then I keep going and I kill about 20 more because they'll drop loot boxes that give me even more tech modules. So I'll get more than my maximum cargo per run.
Yeah, Sanguine Otter also points out in the Star Path research you get from the Nova Squadron building, there is a research that as long as you have Hull Breach active on your opponent, it reduces the brace critical damage, and that works for hostiles.
Right, so you could do it with can you do it with a tier 2 then? What's a tier 2 Tucker get you up to?
You could probably do it with a tier 2 depending on what level of that research is. It does require a tier 5 BLT because you obviously need to do this in the first round, so you have to have BLT proc that first round for this research to be active.
A couple of thank yous very quickly. Lost Soul, Banished Lord, Aardvark Guy, and Gabe is Days. Thank you guys for your resubs to the channel. Appreciate you guys very much. Very, very interesting crewjitsu, as Echo would say, as it pertains to the Zindi loop at 61 plus. Now, that loop only goes up to 62. 61s and 62s are what we're talking about here, but you're also referring to, and I would imagine that the biggest motivation that you would have for doing something like this is being able to feed the refinery. Now, funny enough, inside the Xborg store, the Zindi scrap exchange, honestly, Jules, that is one that I have stopped doing because of its extreme cost. I'm doing single chests in this one. I don't even care because it's not even the primary source of credits anymore. Rare and epic, it's extremely low. I don't even pull this chest anymore. Now, obviously, a little something extra would be a little something extra, but this chest has been a pain in the butt to maintain because of its extreme scaling. Where those credits come from for me have been the opportunity chips, solely and exclusively down here, not only in the NX-01, opportunity chests, which come from the battleships, but also the special opportunity chips, which come from those rare. And you'll notice, even as I pointed out earlier, my battle logs indicated I actually ground those out today.
And you can do both. You can see here, I've actually done both with double pulls. You need 200 rare opportunity chips every 3 days. That is what you have to have. 200 every 3 days, which, by the way, is only 20 of the level 40 battleships if you're going to grind those, because they have a 100% drop rate. You're going to get 10 per level 40. Dragon Keeper says you need 400 a week. That is correct. 40 hostiles a week will keep this fully refined, and it is the primary source of faction credits for me as far as the rare and epic export credits, and that's where I've been doing it. Very interesting to note, though, that I could actually fill and actually maintain the refinery with the 61s, because I haven't been able to do that. Haven't been able to do it.
So another thing about the Zindi scrap, now that you're a G6 player and you have a high tier G5 epic, I would challenge you to try going to the 61 and 62 systems with your big ship there and hitting those hostiles, just grinding them. Don't worry about the surveys. Yes, you could kill the surveys. That'd be great. But if you can't, just grind those ships, because what you may find is that you'll actually probably fill cargo before you die, and get quite a bit of scrap. The reason why I'm still prioritizing that is actually the common export credits. I need those because I don't do freebooter dailies anymore. If I'm going to try to use those efficiency bundles that are available in the export store, I still need a source of common export credits.
So just as a quick note here, I went back to this system. I put Chapel back under there. Chapel actually looks like she made no difference. I still lost half my hull, which means the game changer there is actually Hugh. If you take a look here, this one was with Hugh under deck, lost about 25% of the hull.
You took Hugh off? I thought you said you took Chapel and Odo off. Hugh definitely.
No, maybe it wasn't. No, hold on. Maybe it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Odo. Chapel and Odo is what I took off, but that definitely made a difference. I just died again. So let's go back and take a look at what that difference was. I think that. Oh, I did take Hugh off.
Odo is making it much different.
Yeah, no, okay, I took Hugh off. So I put Chapel back in. I've got Data on. I took Hugh off. So we got to put Hugh back, which means well, I'm going to put Hugh in place of Chapel then. I'll put Hugh in place of Chapel.
Okay.
Well, and you probably don't need Harry Kim. That's just giving you extra crit damage.
No, he's also, but you're also getting hull repair with him because it's an explorer.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we'll put Hugh in, take Chapel out, and we'll try that one last time there. But good, interesting learnings there as well. And Tuesday in the Twitching Trek Lab, we will come in and we'll actually check that out, Jules, Tuesday night if you're able to stop by. We'll do a little bit of grinding in the 61s and even the 62 interceptors just to see how that actually rolls. All right. That's right. Harry is going to be morale. Morale helps Fleet Commander Kirk. And that's going to get you extra isolytic. It's going to get you repair. It's going to be all kinds of stuff that you get out of having morale down there. He's probably going to have to stay. So
quick recap. I just want to recap the crewing, because I think it is interesting that this is still one of those loops that does require different crewing as you progress through the actual specialty ship, which I don't know if we've seen that since the original Vidar. Here, what we're looking at is when you first start out, your intro crew is Leslie, Moreau, Nero, targeting the battleships. Yes, you may die, but you'll still get more loot. Then, starting around Tier 3, Tier 5, Tier 7, depending on what type of player, how much research you have, you'll start maximizing your rare opportunity chips with Pike, Harrison, and E-Data. Then when the Leslie crew stops working for you, isn't the best for you, right around when you're starting to hit the 60s comfortably, around Tier 9 or so and above, you'll start hitting the 60 battleships. Then lastly, as an endgame mechanic, it could be useful depending on the type of player and play style that you do, hitting the 61 plus interceptors with Pike, Moreau, Phlox, or Pike, Moreau, Tucker, and very end game when you're just wailing hard, full archer synergy, up at the 62 interceptors to make that grind super easy.
Viper asks, what is the 61 battleship crew? Non-existent because you should never hit that hostile, I think is what Jules is saying. Don't ever, ever, ever hit that hostile. So don't worry about it.
It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. Even if you could kill it, it's not worth hitting that, because what you're doing by going up to 61 plus is a guarantee that you don't get the go home cannon.
Yeah. And that is correct. Tal does not work on 61s, so that's why you would replace him there with Trip Tucker or Phlox, and not at all do the battleships, which is kind of what we're pointing out there. Okay. Very, very good. Interesting. Very, very interesting changes as you progress and grow within the NX-01 loop. It is kind of interesting how that has changed over time, and I appreciate you pointing that out. As a reminder, that is correct. The NX-01 is not for reptilians, only the aquatics. The reptilians are going to be just a normal regular faction ship, guys. That's what you're going to go up there with, a big old Dodaradex or your Rotaran or whatever. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna try this again. Hopefully, I don't get sent home, and of course, I did because I'm wanting to actually see it in real time. I got sent home by the go home cannon. So, and I don't think that I still have. Yep, don't have the disco range to do it because I still fundamentally refuse. Ladies and gentlemen, from the from the Talking Track Laboratory. Thank you very much to Jules Verne. It was very, very nice to have you back. Ladies and gentlemen, Jules Verne.
From my heart and from my hand, why don't people understand my intention?
Oh,
well, thank you,
wrong
DJs.
button. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it. Any last-second questions or anything before we get ready to wrap the show, and we'll get ready to go. How is the Gorn ship? The Eviscerator? Yeah, I've slow-rolled that completely. The arenas? What, arenas tomorrow? Yes, arenas are happening tomorrow. Do you have a question about that? They did change the times. The times have been updated. They are in the official announcements and in our Scopely announcements here. Tarpy says, am I going to stream? Yeah, I probably will stream. No, Dragon Keeper. Alliance tournaments have been canceled. Arenas have not been. APAC is apparently starting, in about an hour. That's exactly right. 1 hour, 12 minutes. APAC will get their first run. And then it looks like 9 hours after that. So in roughly 10 hours and 12 minutes from this moment, EU will start, and then the United States will start at 5 p.m. Eastern time and run for 8 hours, which is going to put them running until 1 a.m. Eastern time. So, I'll probably stream tomorrow night to take a look and see how that is going to help, and it's going to change. We're also going to look at these 3v3 matchups instead of the 5v5. Jules, just kind of analytically speaking, I think Scopely got part of this right. I still think they missed the mark, but they, in fairness, did tell us that they were not going to change both of these factors, although I think that they should have. They dropped from 5 to 3, which I think will change and help a lot of things, but I still don't think that it's going to do everything you can on this 8-hour window. I think they should have gone 24 hours. But dropping it to 3 players, I think, will help with the matchmaking. It's going to help people participate. You know what it's not going to do? What it's not going to do is probably help in any way, shape, or form with power deviation in matchmaking. And what I mean by that is it's probably going to make matchmaking worse. Just throwing this out there. It's going to allow more players to play, but the average that they're using in the formula is actually going to make this a little bit worse. Meaning that fewer people are going to go up against level 70s, but you also are going to kind of have to go in with a tighter team. Otherwise, you're absolutely going to get spanked. For example, it's spanked in power, that is. Let's say before you had 4 50s, and a 55. All right, that was your team. Well, the average then would probably be roughly 52. And that's what it's going to roughly be for the other team. There's probably going to be a 56, a 55, maybe even a 57 in there. That's fine. But now with only 3, you've eliminated 2 pieces of that formula. So if you go in with variance on your team, that means there's going to be variance on the other team or a higher average on the other team. So let's say, for example, you go in with a 52, a 55, and a 55, right? That means that the average ops is probably 53 and a half, 54, right? Well, that means it could be 53 and a half, 54 for the other team too, but they could bring in a 60 and 2 55s. You see what I'm saying? And you're still within 1 on that, for example. I'm just saying that this...
I don't know. I think there's every single match I've played that has a competitive opponent, the actual opponent that is scoring the most is the player that can effectively evade and get to their Armada circle at the right time.
Agreed.
It's not about getting spanked by your bigger players. There's always a role for smaller players to play, like we've been talking about the survey killers.
I am so glad to hear you say that because I agree 1,000%. I'm just saying that for those of you who are complaining about the power differential, this change is not going to help you. That is all I'm simply saying. I still believe that strategery will win the day. I believe that cooperation, I plan going in with a pre-designated strategy. All right. Don't forget about those arena cruisers. Those are crucial. All right. I think going in with a plan is going to prepare you more so for victory than anything else. However, for those of you who said that matchmaking was bad last time, it will not be any better this time because the change that you asked for is not the change that needed to happen. And this again,
let's think about what the other alternative was. The other alternative that some people were pitching is that we widen the brackets. We widen the range so more people can play. So tightening it to 3v3 versus instead of plus or minus 7, it was plus or minus 10 or 12. Let's just be real here. This is going to be better for everybody than the alternative.
It is partially, yes. Okay. With banding, I agree. All right. With matchmaking, I still don't because you still have this 8-hour restriction. That being said, for those of you who don't understand the matchmaking process or complained last time that you were in a match with someone 4 or 5 ops higher than you, don't expect any change because that's not gonna change. All right, this is not going to be better in regards to matchmaking. That being said, more people should be able to play. The times do favor some players more so than they did last time, but certainly still not everybody. And I'm going to continue to encourage a 24-hour window on this. I think that 3v3 will help that. So we will see. All right, that's going to happen. That's all I've got to report on Arena Combat, and as of now, that is still scheduled for tomorrow. They haven't quit on this one yet, like they have on tournaments. Blood pressure's going back up.
Womp, womp.
My watch is warning me, says your blood pressure is high. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. 5-minute warning until daily reset. 5-minute warning until daily reset. Any other questions or anything that I might be able to help anybody with here tonight? Jules, again, thank you very much for stopping by. Everywhere it matters on the stage, thank you for stopping by. And Putz, appreciate you guys. To the, 300 of you in the live studio audience. You guys are amazing. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Woo! Any other questions? Anything that I can answer for you very quickly? You're right, Webster. Yeah, it's the problem with non-targeted feedback, isn't it? Rob says, thanks to everyone for the great show and the information tonight. We aim to please. Shaughnessy says, which of the 2 skins are you going to recommend? Skins. You're talking about the skins that come out of Alliance tournaments? Because that's a sore subject for me. I don't know what skins you're referring to. If you're referring to the skins that become available, that is NX-01 skins for the NX-01.
Yeah, there's the Columbia NX-01-02, which doubles the output of officers for the Voyager officers. I don't know about you, but I feel like that crate for Voyager officers has been already pretty good, so I don't think that's necessary. And then there's the Enterprise NX-01 refit, which increases the NX-01's impulse speed and also unlocks a bonus reward claim that gives resources and another token. And it also helps give some Sigma resources. That's the free one that you can actually unlock.
So let's hold on. I think I want to show. So we're talking about I remember the Columbia.
So if you go down to the Enterprise NX-01 refinery, you'll see the Picard fit reward. Wow, I cannot say that right. Reward claim.
Okay, so I've already got this one then. Okay.
Yes, this was available in the actual Xborg store. You could pay for it using Epic credits.
Yeah, I think I remember that. People made fun of me because I wasn't doing it. As a matter of fact, I think it was Morbid John. Morbid John was the one who got me started doing this thing. And then there's the California one. Is that right?
The Columbia.
Columbia one, yeah. Yep.
The NX-02.
Columbia NX-02.
That one, yeah. So that one will double the Voyager shards that you get from the officer store claim in the NX-01 refinery. That's pretty good, but I feel like a lot of players are doing well in their Voyager officer sourcing since there's multiple sources for those officers. So that one I believe is pay only, except for in the Alliance tournaments.
I do like the skin. The skin is pretty. I mean, I like pretty things. I like pretty things. As a matter of fact, joking aside, listen, I don't want to spend time on fluff here, but somebody did tell me that the back end of a Daredevil looks like the mask from a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. You guys want to see it? I'm gonna see if I can point this out. They I don't remember exactly how they did it. Hold on. Yeah. See, there it is, right there. That is that is the mask of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. If you can get to it, right there. I'll throw it in the graphics room. The timestamp is 11:58 p.m. Eastern time. All right, there you go. That's a mask for a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I don't remember who showed me that today, but I actually laughed out loud when I saw it. I'm like, oh my God, you're totally right. It looks better without the station in the back. If you go into your ship carousel and go to build it in here where you've got like the holodeck kind of looking thing. Let's see, to Daredevil. Yeah, it looks better in here.
So it gets to midnight and all of a sudden we're looking at our ship's butts.
Yeah. There you go, right there. You see it? You see it matters? That is, right there it is.
That's it.
That's a mask for a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Was it Lady Unilescu who said it? Brilliant. You're absolutely brilliant.
Probably.
Love it. Any word on when Saris Invasion is happening? They said it was going to happen, but I do not have a date. But they did say it was going to happen.
He said, what did he say? He said the date.
It was this
when
week.
You asked him. 22nd?
22nd. So that would be Tuesday. Tuesday they're going to do it. All right. There you go. So on Tuesday, we'll see. Trash Keeper says it's already run 3 times, guys. What do you expect? It's dead now. It's already run 3 times. So game's over. Game's over for Invasion. That's right. Invasions are going to happen after the next War Room. Don't even worry about it. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you guys very much for being here. Thank you to my special guest tonight and panelist expert everywhere it matters, Jules Verne, Putz, hanging out tonight. Thank you guys so very, very much for being here. You guys are incredible. And thank you for your intense and extremely nerdy knowledge of the game we know and love. My name is Ultimate DJs, inviting you to visit our website at TalkingTrekSTFC.com. That's TalkingTrekSTFC.com, where you can find links over to our YouTube. You will also soon be able to find a link over to the new DJs Plays channel, which I'm going to be working on updating here before too awful long, and some music mixes on the site as well before too awful long. Hopefully, it's what we're going to be looking to do. Murphy says, wait, that's a short show, over 3 hours. It was still 3 hours. I didn't want to go that long, but here we are, and it's midnight. So thank you, guys. You'll also find a link to our merchandise store where Candy White's got some new stuff I'll upload this week, and our Patreon program, which honestly is the absolute best way to support the show. I want to thank all of you for supporting on the Patreon channel. $5 a month, all it takes. $10 a month to get your names read like these fine supporters. Thank you, Lord Neelix, Lady Cass, Trader, Iron Shepherd, Chalarmy, Mecrack, Regis, Shady Pines, Lobot, Tagora, Cruzita, Rand, Susie, Hank, Ape, D-Chigger, MC101, Lightbull, Louis P. Grog, Archangel, Smoke Mohawk, Jetski, Papa Smurf, Jason, Captain Jack, Vinium, Scorpionus, Archer and Honey, and Dominus, Casey Jones, K9 Tooth, Sir Tail, A-Fox, Judge Kren, G-Force, Mamingus, Captain Q, Admiral, N-Water, Cha-Cha War, Scarlet Hawk, DJ's got rated again, Jagan, Epigo, Full Tilly, Blue Mandalorian, Noxus, Exhibitor, Furmax, Dr. Link, Clueless One, Welch, Gunner, Unimatrix, Gornography Addict, Balabomb, Kingo 101, Medic 213, J-Babes, Dark Knight, Pixelate, Buddy, Spectre, Yukai, Nico, Diva, Dorsal, McLovin, Griffin, Mean Bean, Thomas, Everywhere It Matters, Shannara, and Delisha. DJs needs to refine more ISO, Sweet and Psycho, Lieutenant, Tom Collins, Check, and Game Jr. Thank you guys for supporting at the level of $10 a month to Talking Trek, a registered trademark and recorded in front of a live studio audience for distribution across podcast platforms everywhere. I am indeed your friendly neighborhood cat person saying meow for now. Love you, mean it. We will catch you on the next one. Good night, everybody, and see you tomorrow night for Arenas right here on Twitching Trek. Good night. Meow.